Legends! Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy, Chronos, here with another epic story. What if Deku had the Avatar powers? The movie. First off, massive shout out to the incredible Destiny Armor for creating this masterpiece. Show them some love for their amazing work. You already know the drill. Smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on the bell so you never miss the next epic part. Your endless support means the world to me, and I'm hyped to keep bringing you these unforgettable what-if journeys. Alright, grab your snacks. Legends, it's about to get wild. Chapter 1, Avatar in the Superhuman World. Fire, water, earth. Long ago, for nations were established, its history, peace, and harmony were maintained by the Avatar, the master of 4 elements. However, everything will not last forever, and so, the era of benders had come to an end and replaced by a modern world we know today. Yet, the Avatar cycle still continues as the soul of the previous one reincarnate on a certain young individual. His name is, a 4-year-old kid was on his bedroom. He was currently unconscious on the bed. The light bulbs on the room were turned off, and the only thing that gives light to the dark room was the moonlight on the window. Izuku, dear, his mother said. She was beside him looking at Izuku's face in worry. Please answer me. Son, her mother, Inko Midoriya begged, but he didn't respond. Flashback. And no way. Are you sure about that? Inko asked in disbelief. The doctor nodded at that. Can you double-check it again, please? Just to make sure, her husband, Hisashi, told him. We already did, and the result was still the same. I'm so sorry, but your son really is a quirkless one. Therefore, he can't fulfill his dream to be a hero, the doctor said. He really felt sorry for the kid since quirkless was a very rare on this world where quirked individuals and superpowers is a common thing. I'm sorry, Mr. and Mrs. Midoriya. I'll be going then, the doctor said as he left the couple. What should we do? How can we tell Izuku about this? Inko asked her husband. We have no choice. Sooner or later, Izuku will figure it out, and the longer we didn't tell him, the harder it will hit him, Hisashi said. But, I know it will hurt him a lot, but it's still better if we do tell him now. Don't worry, Inko-chan. We will be here for him, and he was still our son, with or without quirk, Hisashi said. Inko didn't respond as she just sobbed in her husband's chest. Few moments later, after arriving home, that can't be. You're lying, right? Izuku said in shock. It's true, son. And we're really sorry, Hisashi said calmly, but inside, he and Inko were blaming themselves for Izuku's quirkless status. That was... No, this isn't true. You must be kidding, Izuku said. He was still in shocked state. I'm really sorry. Inko hugged him tight. No way. What about my dream? Izuku asked. You just... Hisashi grit his teeth. He can't even say it to him. You just have to give up your dream, Izuku, Hisashi told him. It hit the boy like a sledgehammer. His own dad telling him to just give up his dream to be a hero. Even after all of those encouragement he said to him for more than 3 years, and with just one single outcome, everything crumbled. Then an unexpected event happened. Izuku's eyes lit in white light and a powerful force were unleashed from him. Inko and Hisashi gasped in shock as they were blown away by the force. Wah! Izuku yelled as he continued to unleash a powerful force in form of wind. Izuku! Inko yelled in horror. Son! Hisashi yelled, trying to reach him. Wah! He continued to yell as the wind around him grew stronger. Then Izuku started to breath fire while yelling, shocking his parents. What did Izuku? Just breath fire. Wah! Then the fire accidentally grazed Inko. Inko. At the mention of his mother's name, Izuku's eyes returned to normal and the fire and air around him quickly disappeared and he passed out. Izuku! Hisashi, after seeing and being assured by Inko that she was fine, rushed to his son. He tried to wake him up, but no avail. Hisashi, what happened back there? Inko asked. I don't know. I just can't believe that he... But I thought he's quirkless, so how can he breath fire like that? Inko asked. I wish I could answer them, but I have no idea too. Anyway, let's take him to the bed, so he can rest. We'll go see the doctor again tomorrow, Hisashi said. Inko reluctantly nodded. Okay. End flashback. Izuku! Inko said, watching her son sleep like a cute little baby. She then started to sob, and then she silently cried on his bed. What in the world is happening to my son? She asked herself. Izuku, where am I? He asked himself. He just found himself in a green scenery. The sky was blue and there's a river on the side. Everything was peaceful. Izuku roamed around, but there's no one here. Hello? Is anyone here? He yelled, but no one answered. Sighing to himself, he decided to walk around and explore things until, "So we finally meet," a female voice said. Izuku jerked and immediately turned to see a very tall woman, since he was still a kid. Her skin was dark and has a shoulder-length brown hair and a cyan-colored eyes. She was looking at Izuku while smiling. Hi. Hello, Midoriya Izuku. The woman said. How do you know my name? Izuku asked. That's because I am your past life. We are connected, she answered him. Izuku was confused at that. Who are you, by the way? Izuku asked her. The woman then pat him on his head. EOM Avatar Korra. Chapter 2, Bending Arts. Avatar Korra. Young Izuku repeated. The woman named Korra nodded at that. Then she went on the nearby tree. She sat there and she motioned Izuku to sit beside her. Seeing that there's not much of a choice he can do, Izuku sat beside her. Silence enveloped the two until Izuku attempted to break it. Well, as a 4-year-old child, I know it must be hard for you, isn't it? Korra said. Izuku gasped at that. Why, you mean you knew that I was? He said. Korra nodded at that. Of course, as I said earlier, we're connected, Korra said. But still, I was really surprised how much the world have changed compared to mine. Korra added. So, what are you and how to know everything about me and where are we? Also, Izuku was cut off. Slow down, Izuku. I can't answer all of them at once. I was expecting a decent conversation with you. But since you asked that now, I guess I have no choice. As I said, I am Avatar Korra and I'm the previous incarnation of the Avatar Spirit. Korra said. The young boy gasped. Avatar Spirit? What is that? Izuku asked. You're a curious child, aren't you? Korra said. He gulped at that. Sorry, it's okay. I'll tell you about it anyway. Avatar Spirit is the spirit of Rava, the symbol of light and peace, fused into a person, allowing him to manipulate and bend elements on her will. Korra said. Bend elements? Yeah, and when I said elements, this includes fire, air, water, and earth. Korra then motioned her one arm, swaying it back and forth, and then to Izuku's surprise, a portion of water from the river slowly rose and then went to Korra's palm, forming an orb. Then she showed it to Izuku, who was now amazed. Wow, it's called waterbending, Korra said. Waterbending, right? Using your chi to manipulate the element of water, Korra explained. See chi? What's a chi? Izuku asked, confused. Chi is the energy present to all living creatures. Without it, you're as the same as a corpse, she said. I see. Anyway, you can use it to bend the elements into your will for attack or defense purposes. So you can do it on the others too? Izuku asked. Now he was interested. Korra nodded. Yes, I can. However, on other humans during my time, they are limited into one element, Korra said. You see, Izuku, humans' chi is not that powerful, so they were born with single element to bend. The Avatar is the one and only person in the world who can master all 4 elements due to immense chi they possess, Korra. Oh, but how can you bend all of them? Is there a reason behind it? Izuku asked again. Yes, it's because the Avatar possesses the spirit of Rava. One of the mighty spirits exist even before the first humans emerged on this world. But how did that happen? I mean, this spirit you called Rava was supposed to be free and roaming around, so how did he ended up within you? Izuku asked. Korra. It's a long story, Izuku. I want to tell you, but we don't have much time, Korra said. Anyway, I appeared before you because I want to impart all of my knowledge of bending arts to you. It's the Avatar's duty to know and master all 4 elements and maintain balance. But the era of benders was long gone, so no one will teach you anymore. So for that reason. Wait a minute, why would you do that? You said that humans can only bend one element. There's no way I can learn all of them, right? Izuku protested. And why do you think I was able to connect to you in the first place? Korra said. Izuku wondered. You see, Avatar is the most powerful bender, but he's still a human being. Sooner or later, he'll reach the end of his lifespan, and when he does, the Avatar spirit will be removed from her body in order to reincarnate to the next person. Korra said. Reincarnate? You mean dash? Yes, I was long dead, Izuku. I am just a spirit. You're currently in the spirit world right now. Your physical body was currently resting on your room, but your spirit was here due to your strong connection in this world, Korra said. Izuku didn't say anything because he didn't actually know what to do. Then it's slowly making sense after analyzing all of the information he heard. Don't tell me, the next Avatar after you was... Yes, it's you, Izuku. You are the current Avatar and my successor. I guess, Korra said. He gasped. No way. Now then, are you ready? Korra asked him. Izuku then faced her with new determination on his face. Now that he realized who he was and the capacity of what he can do, He might fulfill his dream to become a hero even without a quirk. "I'm ready," he calmly said. "Good. Let my knowledge guide you to the right path as an avatar." And as a hero, Korra whispered the last part, then she placed her right thumb on the center of Izuku's forehead and her left thumb on the center of his chest. Then both of Korra's thumbs glow as she used energy bending to grant him all of the bending arts she knows. "Goodbye, Avatar Izuku," Korra said one last time until both were engulfed by a bright light. Izuku's room. Izuku was slowly roused from his slumber. Blinking several times, Izuku slowly get up. He find out that it was morning already. Then he turned to see her mother, Inko Midoriya. Asleep on his bed with her head bent down, he gently pat his mother. "Mom!" Izuku muttered. Inko roused from her sleep, hearing her son's voice. She then faced Izuku, then she started to cry. "Izuku!" she yelled before hugging him tightly. Izuku wasn't surprised actually. "Mom, are you okay? Are you hurt?" she asked him. "I'm okay, Mom. You don't need to worry about me," Izuku assured her. Then the door of his room burst open to see his father, Hisashi. "Son," Hisashi said as he approached the two. "I'm okay, Dad." "I'm fine now," Izuku said. "But last night you just breath fire. We're planning to take you back to the doctor to check on you again," Hisashi told him. Izuku gasped a bit. Normally he would be freaking out, but thanks to the knowledge he got from his predecessor, Korra, he knew that he unconsciously performed firebending at that time. "Is that so?" he said. "Are you okay, son? You look actually calm and refreshed today. Did something happen?" Hisashi asked. Izuku looked at him and smiled, surprising the two. "Yeah, I feel great. I guess I really have no choice but to accept the fact that I will never have a quirk," Izuku said. This caused Inko and Hisashi to frown. They were both relieved that their son finally moved on, but they still can't help but to blame themselves. But the couple turned to him. Then Izuku grinned at them, surprising both of them. "I won't give up on my dream to become a hero," he declared. They gasped again. "But son, you don't have a quirk. The doctor said that you should dash." "You're right, Dad. I don't have a quirk. But I have something even better," Izuku said. "Eh, what?" Then Izuku clenched his fist, and after a few moments, he thrust his fist into the air, and it released a weak stream of flames that scattered on the air until it disappeared. His parents was beyond shock. "What dash? And no way. I guess I have to tell you what really happened," Izuku said as he proceeded to tell them everything that happened on him while he's sleeping. 5 minutes later, "Avatar, you?" Inko asked in disbelief. Izuku nodded. "So you're saying that you're the current incarnation of this powerful entity called the Avatar, which has the ability to bend and control 4 elements," Hisashi clarified. He nodded again. "Okay. This is getting all weird," he added, trying to cope up. "I know, I was confused at first, but I have to accept who am I. Besides, maybe I can help other people using this power and become a hero," Izuku told them. Inko and Hisashi didn't know what would they feel. They're happy that their son found a way to achieve his dream, but at the same time, they're scared. "Well, if that's going to make you happy, then you'll have our support," Inko said, smiling at his son. "Your mom's right. We're here to support you, Izuku. Just don't hesitate to tell us if something went wrong," Hisashi said. Izuku nodded happily. "Thanks, but we're going to see the doctor regardless, just to make sure," he added. Izuku nodded at that. Then the Midoriya family went to the same doctor who diagnosed Izuku. After a few hours, the doctor told them that Izuku was really a quirkless kid, and to the doctor's surprise, Izuku just nodded politely at that as if he didn't care anymore. He was a bit taken aback, but he set it aside thinking that he was a mature kid. Then Hisashi asked a favor to the doctor that he must hide the results from everyone for Izuku's sake, on which he agreed, completely understanding the man's intention. Then after that, they went home. "So Izuku, what are you going to do then?" Inko asked him. "Of course, I'm going to train and practice my bending," Izuku said. He really can't wait to test it out. "Is that so? Then be careful on the way," Inko said. Izuku nodded at that as he ran off to practice his bending. On that day, Midoriya Izuku was determined to become a hero more than anyone else. Chapter 3, Entering Yui. 10 years later, this is it. A 14-year-old Izuku told himself. He's now in front of the most prestigious school for aspiring heroes, the Yui High School or Udata High School. "All of the training I've done will be put to the test right here and now," he added as he recalled the 10 years of training, honing and mastering his bending arts. At first, it wasn't easy. Even with all of the knowledge he obtained from Korra, it was harder than he expected. It seems that each bending arts was affiliated with a certain martial arts style in order to perform them skillfully, but that wasn't enough to stop him. But he soon discovered that after he mastered the moves required to perform each bending, on which he did first obviously, it became a natural extension of his own body to the point that he can actually bend elements with just a simple motion of his hand or feet, and sometimes he can perform it by just sheer will. And suffice to say that Izuku managed to achieve both feats, and it took him 5 years to do that. Then he spent another 5 years training and strengthening his bending arts as well as training his body too. He also discovered that the more his body was trained and toned, the more powerful his bending will become. And as if the fate was on his side, he found an ideal training spot, which is the seaside beach that was being dumped by many trash and unused electrical equipments. And so, after 5 years, he now mastered all 4 bending arts and can perform them flawlessly, and having a muscular body due to training his physical strength along the way. "Here we go," Izuku said. Then he heard a familiar voice behind him. "Move it, Deku." He heard his childhood friend's voice. Katsuki Bakugo growled. He turned to see him with a scowl on his face. "Kaken, move or I'll fucking kill you," he warned him again. Izuku quickly moved out of the way. Bakugo then passed through him and continued his way inside the campus. Is he still jealous to me?" Izuku thought, speaking about his friend Katsuki. He heard that he had a quirk called Explosion, which was actually a powerful one, and because of that, he became famous on his class during his middle school days. But that changed when the Explosion user asked what type of quirk Izuku has. Then he performed his 4 bending arts and claimed it as his own quirk. Each one of his classmates was beyond shocked, and few thought that he had a multiple quirks. Teachers think that a rare type of quirk like that will make him a great hero one day, and etc. At that point, Bakugo regret that day and started to hate him. "Oh well," Izuku said. "Are you okay, mister?" Another voice said, but this time it was a female one. Izuku turned to see a shoulder-length brown-haired woman. "Hey, are you okay, mister? You're spacing out," she asked again. I am fine." Izuku stuttered, not because he's embarrassed, but because he's actually talking to a girl. "Is that so? Well then let's go. I'm Ochako Uraraka, by the way," the girl named Uraraka said. "Okay. I'm Midoriya Izuku," he managed to introduce himself. "Izuku-kun, that's a nice name," Uraraka said. "Thanks," he said. His face was red. Inside the campus, all examinees were seated and was listening to their proctor, the voice hero President Mike. "Welcome one and all to my live show. Everybody say he shouted through the microphone. The examinees didn't respond. "I've got shivers down my spines too, listeners. All right, examinees. I've got to give you a lowdown on how this'll go down. Are you ready?" "Yeah," President Mike shouted all by himself, answering his own question. The examinees didn't know what to do. Meanwhile, Midoriya was seated beside Bakugo. Both were actually listening intently at the voice hero, telling them the rules of the entrance exam. "I see, so all we have to do was to dispatch as many villains ranging from 1 to 3 points each as we can to earn points," Izuku summarized. He didn't want to get cocky, but this was quite simple. "This means I don't even have a chance to crush you," Bakugo said in frustration. Izuku's sweat dropped. That's what he's worried about. Excuse me, can I ask a question?" A black-haired guy with glasses asked. "According to the handouts, there are 4 types of villains. Is this an error or something? Because if it is, this will a huge embarrassment to the top-tier National Academy," he asked. "Okay, thanks for pointing out. Examinee 7111. The 4th type of villain worth 0 points. Think of them as arena traps. So you see one and run like hell to avoid it." President Mike explained. The examinees nodded on that. "Okay, enough explanation from me, so let's get to the main event. Plus Ultra." President Mike then dismissed the examinees so they can go the next venue of their exam. At the venue, it's so big. Izuku was shocked at the place. Its size can rival the whole town. Just how much money they invest to build this. Good thing that Kaken was in the other group, he thought. Then, just like the other examinees, he was calming himself so his mind and body was prepared. After that, Izuku then spotted Uraraka. She too was concentrating on this. He smiled. Better not to disturb her. Then he heard that the giant gates in front of them opened, and suddenly Izuku followed his instinct and ran as fast as he can inside, earning him may gasps and shocked faces. "HEYW, what the heck is he doing? The proctor isn't dash. What's the matter? There's no such thing as a countdown on a real battle. You should have followed the footsteps of that kid earlier," President Mike announced, shocking all of them. "What? Oh crap, move it." Then everyone hurried inside, either cursing Izuku or cursing themselves for that simple mistake. which cannot be considered since they didn't know in the first place. Izuku, there! The curly-haired boy threw a fist on the air, releasing a huge steam of flames, burning a 1-point villain to crisp. Then he spotted two villains, a 3.1 on his left side and a 2.1 on his right side. Izuku quickly balled both his fists and then he sharply raised it. Then a wall made out of earth rose on both of his side, protecting him from the attack of the two villains. The wall shattered, but it gave him enough time to counter as he swiped both of his hands and a blade made out of air manifest and sliced the two villains clean. That earns me 40 points. Izuku said as he went deeper to search for more villains. After a short time, all of the examinees managed to earn points of their own as well using their own quirks, but it was not that much considering that Izuku went first. It's either he missed them or let them go intentionally. 5 minutes and 10 seconds left. Spectators, strict time limit on a vast battleground. This will measure the ability and instinct of the participants, one of them said. The ability to grasp the situation accurately, insight. The ability to stick dynamic entry without being late for the party, agility. The ability to face any obstacle with coolness and composure, judgment. And of course, sheer fighting power. And with this, we can gauge their respective levels of those fundamental skills, another one said. But we can't be so sure of that yet, because their real test will just begin. Then one of the spectators pushed a button. At the venue, everyone including Izuku heard loud footsteps. He deduced that it was coming from something big. He gasped in realization. Don't tell me that was Crash. A giant robot appeared in front of the examinees, wreaking havoc at the same time. The villain worth 0 points, everyone thought. Then the giant villain proceeded to smash buildings, destroying them with ease. Some was panicking as they share the same thoughts from their heads. Run! Almost all of the examinees fled and avoid being seen by that robot. Izuku was also about to flee as well, but Izuku turned to see Uraraka, the one that he talked before the entrance exam. She accidentally tripped, and what's worse, the giant robot villain was just closing into her. Uraraka turned to see the robot and became terrified. Uraraka-san, Izuku yelled, running towards her. Izuku-kun, she said happily. He then helped her to get on her feet. Let's go, he said, but a shadow loomed over then. He cursed as he saw the robot's arm that was about to smash them. Damn it! Izuku then carried Uraraka bridal style, then he used earthbending to propel themselves upward using a chunk of ground, causing it to miss the target. However, oh no, Izuku! Behind us, Uraraka said. He turned to see that the giant villain catching up to them. He narrowed his eyes. Hold on tight, Uraraka-san, Izuku said with a smile, causing the girl to blush a bit. Then they faced the giant robot and Izuku did an unexpected thing. His cheeks puffed and then he blew it towards the giant robot, utilizing Ari bending from his mouth. He released a very huge amount of compressed air that not just propelled it too far away, but it also sent the robot backwards, preventing it from chasing them. The giant robot lost balance and fell on the ground. Meanwhile, Izuku landed safely in the ground and put Uraraka down. Other examinees was shocked at what he did. Are you okay? Izuku asked the girl. Why yeah, I'm fine. Thanks for saving me back there, Uraraka said. It was nothing. After all, heroes exist to save lives, he said. Time's up. The test is over, they all heard President Mick's voice. 1 week later, Izuku, are you okay? Inko asked him. He smiled and nodded. I'm fine, he replied as he ate his breakfast. Don't worry. I think you did great out there, Inko said. I know. It's just that I was a bit nervous, Izuku said as he finished his food and get up. I'll be going to my room then. Then he went upstairs and inside of his room. Few minutes later, Izuku, it's here, Inko burst through the door holding an envelope. He then took it from her hands and opened it to revealed, am I on the screen? Izuku and Inko gasped as they heard All Might's voice, and then a projection screen appeared that shows him in a yellow suit. Greetings, young Midoriya, All Might said. Izuku knew that this was a record, so all he needed to do is to listen. I will now announce the results of your exam, and there was a complete silence that killing the mother and son, and you pass, young Midoriya, not just in instincts and power but also in bravery for saving a life in a midst of chaos around, All Might said. You heard me right, the test was not just for smashing villains, but it also measure your ability to save lives. It's called rescue points. All Might said. Then the projection showed the judges giving him several points, in total of 60 points. Midoriya Izuku, 100 points. Inko was in verge of crying of tears of joy, while Izuku was shocked and happy at the same time. Come, young Midoriya, from this day on, Yui will be your hero academia. All Might said as he raised his hand out as if to reach him. Izuku grinned at him. Yes, sir. And now, his life as a UE student begins. Chapter 4. Quirk Apprehension Test. Spectators. Whoa. Look at the score of that kid on the first place. One of the judges said as he looked at the scoreboard where Izuku was ranked first with a score of 40 points in villain side and 60 points on the rescue side, in total of 100 points. Well, he may not be the highest in the villain points, but I must say he was the highest one on the rescue points. Nowadays, most heroes were focused on capturing or destroying villains for fame. It's rare to see an aspired hero like him taking into action without hesitation to save a fellow examinee. Another one said everyone nodded, acknowledging it. I know, and besides, it's been a while that I see someone take on that giant 0-point villain. To witness it being taken down again was refreshing to see. Well, on the second place, this Katsuki Bakugo has no rescue points, but he was the highest on the villain points in total of 77 points. His explosive quirk was so flashy that it attracted villains on the site and destroying all of them consecutively. Well, it seems that we have an interesting batch of students this year. Izuku, have you brought what you need? Inko asked his son, who were currently putting on his shoes. He is wearing the official UE uniform and a backpack where his stuff was placed. Yeah, he replied. Be careful, son. I love you, Inko said. The boy smiled at her and stood up. I love you too, Mom. I'll be going, Izuku said as he opened the door and went outside. UE High School campus. If he was shocked at how big the campus is during the entrance exam, well, he's even more astonished as he went inside. It was really big, so big that he was having a hard time finding his classroom, but eventually, he found it. I'm in Class 1A according to my registration. I wonder what kind of students will I meet here. I hope they're not delinquents, he muttered as he opened the door to reveal, Hey, don't put your feet on the desk. A stern-looking guy with glasses yelled at the person with a light blonde spiky hair. Izuku sighed. It was Kaken. None of your business, nerd. I will put my feet wherever I want to. By the way, what junior high did you attend to? Bakugo asked. I attend Somei Junior High. My name's Tenya Ida. The stern-looking guy named Ida said. Bakugo snickered at that. Somei, huh? One of the elites too. In that case, I will be happy to crush you, he said before grinning at him. Ida gasped in shock. Why you? And you dare calling yourself a hero? He snapped. Then he saw Izuku going on his seat. Without further ado, he went to the boy. Hey, you, he said. Izuku looked at him. You need something? Izuku asked in confusion. I want to know your name, Ida said, or rather demanded. I'm Midoriya Izuku, he said. I see. Well, my name's Dash. No need. I hear you earlier, you're Tenya Ida. Right, Izuku cut him off. Yes, so, you want something from me? Izuku asked in wonder. Midoriya, you knew all about the hidden purpose of the exam, don't you? Ida told him. Izuku gasped, and then he realized, what is he talking about? I don't, Ida-san. It's just that I have to do something to rescue her. It would be a problem if someone died during the entrance exam, Izuku reasoned. But still, I should act at that time too. I can tell that you're far superior to me. Ida cursed himself at that. And no, you're not. We're just the same. Izuku then saw someone on the door.
Jeff minus Lud.
Uraraka said as she approached Izuku. Uraraka-san, so we're in the same class, she said. Why, yeah, I suppose, Izuku said. Hey, how long you two are going to stay like that? A man asked from the door. Ida and Uraraka turned to see a black-haired man exiting on a yellow sleeping bag. The two quickly went to their respective seats. With that, the black-haired man then went to the desk. My name's Shoyuta Aizawa. I will be your instructor. The man named Shoyuta Aizawa introduced himself. Everyone gasped, recognizing him. The pro-hero Eraserhead, huh? Izuku thought. Then he saw him pull something from his sleeping bag. Okay, change on these uniforms and let's meet at that schoolyard, Aizawa simply told them, surprising them to the core. What, sensei? Don't we have a school ceremony to attend first? Uraraka asked. Here on UE, we don't have time for pointless ceremonies like that. If you want to become heroes, then you shouldn't slack around. Let's go, Aizawa told them as the class went to the schoolyard. So, what are we supposed to do then? A red-haired named Ijiro Kirishima asked. I'm going to assess all of your quirks by putting everyone here in a series of tests, Aizawa explained to them. Then he turned to Katsuki. Bakugo, What was your farthest throw in a softball, he asked. 67 meters, I think, Bakugu answered. Okay then, try it with your quirk this time, Aizawa said as he gave a ball to him. Everything's okay as long you stay inside the circle, he added. Then Bakugu positioned himself inside the circle. I'll add a little heat and then... Bakugu then ignite his hand using his quirk before throwing the ball. Die! He yelled as he threw the ball enhanced with a little explosion, which looks a big one from the other's point of view. D. Everyone thought in disbelief. Izuku sighed at that. It's same old Kaken. Then after a few minutes Aizawa nodded and it followed by a beep. All of you must know what you're capable of. That's the rational way to form the foundation of a hero, Aizawa said as he showed them the tablet he's holding to everyone, and it read 705.2 meters. Gasps and shocked faces was expressed. 705.2 meters. That's... So we can use our quirks here without holding back. This will be fun. At that comment, Aizawa grunted in disappointment. Humph, did you say fun? You have 3 years to train in order to become pro heroes and you're telling me this is fun? Well, in that case, the student who will get the lowest score in all 8 tests will be expelled on the spot, Aizawa sharply told them, shocking everyone. That's no fair. We earned our place here, so you can't just simply expel us. Uraraka complained. Aizawa looked at her. Life is not fair, Missy. If you want to stay here, then prove that you all belong here. Demonstration's over, so let's get started. The first test is 50-meter dash. Ida and a woman with a frog-like tongue named Tsuyu Ajui was positioned in the starting line. A robotic camera was on the side of the finish line to measure their time. Go! Ida dashed forward while Tsuyu leaped like a frog. Thanks to the 6 mufflers on his leg each, Ida arrived at the finish line first. 3.04 seconds, the robotic camera said. Aizawa nodded at that. Then he turned his eyes back at the track. 5.58 seconds, Tsuyu arrived next. Okay, next pair, Aizawa said after recording the score. Then a pair approached the starting line. It was Uraraka and a tall guy with a long tail named Masahiro Ojiro. Uraraka then touched her clothes and glow pink in a moment, then she do the same in the pants and shoes, lightening it up. Okay, go! Then Uraraka and Ojiro ran, and clearly, Ojiro has the advantage thanks to his tail on which he used his third leg. 5.49 seconds. Then Uraraka arrived next, panting. 7.15 seconds. Uraraka sighed in relief. It was faster than her record in junior high. Okay, next one and hurry up, Aizawa told them. Then a pink-haired girl named Mina Ishido and a blonde guy wearing what it seemed a boxing belt, but instead of a gold carvings on the center, it has a reflector like glass. His name was Aoyama Yuga. Both went to the starting line. Yuga turned his back to the track instead of kneeling. Go! Ishido ran while Yuga released a blue sparkling laser from the belt he's wearing, propelling him forward, but after a second, it died down, so he rested a bit and fired the laser again until he reached the finish line. Clearly Ishido arrived first and followed by him. 5.47 seconds. 5.51 seconds. Okay, next one, Aizawa said, and the next pair was Izuku and Katsuki. Both kneeled to prepare. Go! Bakugu ran, using the force of his explosion from his hands to boost his speed. And as for Izuku, utilizing airbending and firebending at the same time, Izuku ran, using the fire produced from his fist to propel himself forward just like Bakugu's method. Then produce air on his feet as he stepped on the ground. Then Izuku arrived first on the finish line, then followed by Bakugu. 3.90 seconds. 4.13 seconds. Aizawa nodded, recording the scores. Then he looked at Izuku one last time before focusing on the other students running. Grip strength. Izuku tightly gripped the grip strength meter he was holding. Then he looked at the results. It shows 112 kilograms. He nodded at that. He was muscular alright, but physical strength is not his forte. Then he looked at the other students. Whoa! 540 kilograms. What are you, a gorilla? A guy named Shiro Hanta asked in shock at the tall guy with 6 arms named Mezu Shoji. Standing long jump. Yuga used his naval laser to boost his jump. He was followed by Bakugu using explosions to enhance his jump. As for Izuku, he used airbending on his feet to propel himself, clearing the obstacle. Repeated sidestep. A small guy with a grape-like hair named Mineta Minoru was up first. He placed 2 violet ball-like thing on both of his sides and start side hopping, hitting the balls on each of his jump. The energy store on it enhanced his side hopping in great heights. Then it's Izuku's turn. Utilizing earthbending, Izuku copied Mineta's method, but in a different way, of course. Ball throw. Uraraka then threw the ball very high. Many minutes have passed, and the ball was still in the sky, so Aizawa showed them the result, which is an infinite sign. What the heck? Infinity? That's ridiculous. Then it's Izuku's turn. He sighed and ready to throw the ball, using airbending on his hand. He threw the ball upwards and propelled it in great heights, leaving a trail of air behind. After almost 2 minutes, it landed on the ground, and Aizawa showed them the score. 905.3 meters. Excellent, he told him. Izuku sighed in relief. Bakugo was looking at him with anger. Not only he had a rare and a possible multiple quirk with him, but he also managed to get a higher score than him too. It made him explode. Okay, next one. And then before everyone knew it, the ball throw test was over. It was followed by sit-ups, seated toe touch, and last one, the long distance run. On the last 3 tests, Izuku didn't use any of his bending arts, just pure physical strength, and then after that, the test was finally over. Few minutes later. Okay, everyone's here, so I'll show you your score. I'm not in the mood explaining it to you, so take a look yourselves. Aizawa then showed a holographic scoreboard that shows them their scores. Alright, I'm in 3rd. Izuku said as he managed to see his name on 3rd place. As for the last one, that can't be. Minoru Mineta was shocked. He was the dead last. Okay, for the last one, the expulsion punishment is... Aizawa started. Mineta was now starting to sweat. He was going to be expelled for sure. He then looked at Aizawa and a grin appeared on his face. Just a lie, he finished. Everyone gawked at that. What? Of course, it's a lie. It's just a method to motivate the students to push his limit. A tall black-haired woman named Momo Yaoyorozu said. Don't tell me you really believe him, do you? She added. Everyone's sweat dropped. I didn't notice. That was nerve-wracking. Okay, we're done here. The handouts on the classroom. Go get them and take a look on the curriculum when you arrive there, Aizawa said as he left them on their own. Aizawa. He was walking back to his faculty room when All Might appeared. He looked lazily at the number 1 hero. So, how is it? All Might asked. He's quite a student, the one named Izuku Midoriya. He's a promising one, but why are you asking me to watch him anyway? Aizawa asked. It's just about his quirk, All Might admit. Oh, the way he used his elements during the tests. What's wrong about it? Aizawa asked. All Might didn't answer. The fact that kid used multiple elements on the entrance exam. Is he a multi-type quirk, or, hey, is there something wrong? All Might, Aizawa asked, seeing him deep in thought. And nothing, just watch him. Alright, All Might said as he went back first. Aizawa sighed at that. Oh well. Chapter 5, Trial of Battle. Next day, afternoon. According to the curriculum, aside from the hero subjects, we still have the basic education like English, math, science, and the like, and just like other schools, the school has a cafeteria where you can get food from the cook hero lunch rush. But still, Aizawa-sensei is quite a liar. He doesn't need to do that just to push us to our limits, Ida said. Izuku was walking beside him. Apparently, he became friends with him aside from Uraraka because he respected him due to the events on the entrance exam. The 3 was on the way back to the classroom after eating lunch. By the way, Izuku-kun, did Katsuki-kun hate you or something? Uraraka suddenly asked. Izuku turned to her. What do you mean? You see, I saw him glaring at you after you threw a softball at the ball throw test yesterday. Did something happen between you two? She asked. Izuku smiled at that. We're friends during middle school days, but after he found out my quirk, he started to hate me until now, Izuku simply told her. Just because of Korko. Speaking of that, what is your quirk anyway? I see you producing fire, air, and controlling the ground at the test. I must say that was kind of cool, Uraraka asked. On my registration, I named it Element. I can manipulate 4 basic elements on my will, Izuku told her. For basic elements, you mean? Yeah, it was fire, air, water, and earth, Izuku said. That was a cool quirk. And I can see why Bakugo hates you, Ida said. Izuku just laughed it off and the 3 arrived at the classroom. Almost everyone was there. Alright, I am here just like an ordinary person. Everyone was shocked to see All Might on his hero costume. Bursting in. No way, All Might was going to teach us. I will be teaching all of you the hero basic training. All of the knowledge of being a hero in all aspects, so right now we'll be doing All Might then a flashcard with word battle on it. Combat training, he finished his sentence. Combat, Bakugo said enjoy. Training, Izuku plainly said. Then to go along with it, I will be presenting you. All Might then a panel emerged from the wall, with respective numbers that represents the student's seat number. Your hero costumes, he said. Each student was overjoyed. All right, okay. Change on your costumes and meet me at the ground beta, All Might told them. Yes, sir. Ground beta, the symbol of peace, was waiting on the students to arrive on the gate, and when they do, he let out a grin. That's right. From this moment on, he said as one by one, the students of Class 1A appear before him, donned on their hero costumes. You are heroes, he finished as he looked at each one of them. Izuku adjusts the green scarf he's wearing on his neck, and Avatar Wan's outfit when he fight Vatu on the spirit world, but instead of red, it was green. Someone suggest me this, and since I can't think of anything, I took his suggestion. Looks old but nice to you, Uraraka commented. Izuku scratched his head in embarrassment. Thanks. Okay, let's begin. On this combat training, you'll be split into 2-on-2 for an indoor battle. One pair will take the role of hero and the other pair will take the role of villain. And then All Might told them, but he was cut off midway. So how will we determine who will win and who will lose? Momo asked first. Can't we just beat them up right away? Bakugu followed suit. How will the pair be decided? Ida go next after Bakugu. Is there an expulsion penalty too? Just like on Aizawa-sensei's class? Uraraka asked nervously. Izuku's sweat dropped at the questions thrown right away. All Might face palmed at that. He grunted a bit. Be quiet. I'll answer all of them, All Might said. Everyone nodded at that, and then the number 1 hero continues speaking. Okay, in this drill, we're going to have a situation where the villain hide a nuclear missile deep inside the building. All Might cough, and then he continue. The role of the hero is to locate it and take it over before it launch. It's either by beating up the villains or touching the nuke by one of the heroes. For villain's case, they have to protect the nuke by either beating up the heroes or not letting any of them touch it until the allotted time was over. All Might continue. The pair and the opponents will be decided by lottery, he said, answering Ida's question. But that means we will be paired randomly, Ida said. But that would exercise our teamwork, Ida-san. Even pros have to work on someone they didn't know, so this will be a great training for us, Izuku told him. Ida looked at him. I guess so. Then All Might start drawing the students' names on the box, and the pairs was now decided. They're Team A, Uraraka/Midoriya. Team B, Shuji/Todoroki.
Team J, Mineta Yaoyorozu. Team D, Bakugo Tanya.
Team E, Yuga/Ishido. Team F, Kuji/Rikadu. Team G, Kaminari/Jairu. Team H, Tyu/Tokoyami. Team I, Ojiro/Hagakure. Team J, Siro/Kirishima. Yes, we're on the same team. I'm counting on you, Izuku and Uraraka said. Izuku just nodded at that. Then All Might then draw the teams, one on the hero box and the other on the villain box. Then, okay, here we go. The team playing as a hero will be Team A, All Might said. Izuku and Uraraka gasped at that. We're first, she said. Then, the team playing as a villain will be Team D, All Might announced. Izuku gasped at that. Team D. And it was... He looked to see Bakugu and Ida. The explosive user was grinning. I thought so, Izuku muttered. Well then, everyone else head to the monitor room. We'll watch the battle there, All Might said, and then he and the other students walk away. Izuku and Uraraka stay outside while Bakugu and Ida went inside to guard the missile. 5 minutes later. Okay, let's begin the indoor combat training between Team A and Team D. All Might said through the speaker. The participants get themselves ready. Ready? Go. Izuku and Uraraka, stay back for a while, Izuku told her. Hurry, he said. Uraraka nodded. It seems that he had a plan. Then after she took 3 steps away from him, Izuku cracked his knuckles and then, he dug all of his fingers on the wall of the building. Then after seconds, a straight clean crack was formed and it was spreading on the front side of the building. Then something unexpected happened, which shocked not just Uraraka but the whole students and All Might. Using earthbending, Izuku demolished the front side of the building into human-sized cubes of cement, and it was falling straight to the 2. Uraraka was about to shield herself, but Izuku immediately spread his arms, holding each of them on the air as if they were being suspended by rope. Then he slowly lowered his arms, lowering all of them safely at the same time, and with that, the inside of the building was completely exposed. Wow! Uraraka was in awe. Okay, let's go. And before she knew it, Izuku had already carried her bridal style and propelled themselves upward using airbending on his feet. Then they landed on the floor where Bakugo and Ida was along with the nuke. Spectator room. The hell? Did he just... Kirishima was speechless. He demolished the whole front side of the building just like that. What kind of quirk did he possess? Ojiro asked. He's a monster. Mineta yelled in shock. The other students didn't speak, but we can tell that they were in shock too. All Might was looking at Izuku through the monitor. What power! He thought. Todoroki watched in interest. To be able to do something like that with just a single movement was something you can't see every day. Ground beta. What? What did just happened? Ida asked. He and Bakugo suddenly feel tremor, and then after that, the front side of the building was destroyed in instant, exposing them, and then Izuku and Uraraka appeared in front of them. Deku, you bastard. Bakugo was seething in rage, gritting his teeth as he looked at him. Uraraka prepare herself for the fight, and so is Ida. Izuku look at the two and then prepare himself too. I have to restrain the two as fast as possible, he thought, and then, without wasting any single moment, he take action. Uraraka-san, I'll give you an opening, and if I do, go retrieve the nuke, Izuku told her. Yeah, like I'll let you. Bakugo ran towards him, his hands were heating up. Then Izuku ran towards him too. The explosive user then reached for Izuku to detonate his accumulated heat from his hands, but Izuku easily ducked, avoiding it. Izuku performed a roundhouse kick, sending Bakugo flying on the opposite side and slamming his body on the wall. Gah! Then, Izuku stomped his feet on the ground and a chunk of cement flowed in front of him in response. Then he thrust his fist as if he's gonna punch the cement, and then the cement block flew on Bakugo's direction. Morphing into an arm, it connected on the teen's body, effectively trapping him on the wall. Bakugo! Ida yelled in worry. One down, Izuku muttered, and then he blew away Ida using airbending by thrusting his right hand. Ida was struggling to hold his feet on the ground at the intense air blowing on him. He even used his quirk engine. It helped him stood his ground for a short amount of time, but eventually, he was overpowered by the intense wind, sending him flying just beside Bakugo. D-damn-H! Ida screamed as a giant cement hand connected to his body, trapping him on the wall too. Now, Uraraka-san, he yelled. Uraraka obliged, and then she went to the nuke and touched it, claiming victory. Hero team wins, All Might announced. Spectator room. That was fast, Kaminari said. Yeah. He swiftly took action in order to restrain the two without doing any harm on the missile. Not bad, Yaoyorozu said. He certainly caught her attention after the displayed earlier. Ground beta. We completely lost. Damn it. Ida said. He's disappointed to himself. DKU. Bakugo yelled on top of his lungs. He was completely owned, no doubt about it, but it just made him more angrier. Then the two felt that the cement hand crumbled and they're free. It appears that Izuku let the two go. Oh, sorry about that. I hope you're alright, Izuku apologized. Uraraka went to the three. No need, it's part of the training. Just as I thought, you really are something, Midoriya, Ida said. He smiled at that. And not really. I just know what I can do. That's all. Meanwhile, Bakugo was barely holding his anger. Then he looked to see Izuku approach him. Ida and Uraraka was nervous, knowing the two's history. You okay, Kakin? He asked. Dio, I look like I'm okay. The explosive user yelled as he dashed forward, his right hand heating up Uraraka, and Ida gasped at that. Wah dash! Bakugo, stop dash! But before his hand connect on Izuku's body, All Might suddenly appeared and grabbed his wrist. The fight was over, young Bakugo. That's enough, All Might said as he slowly let go of his hand. Bakugo grit his teeth as the heat on his palm slowly disappearing. He swept the hero's hand and walked away. Izuku looked at the retreating form of Kakin and sighed. It seems you two had a rough childhood time together, young Midoriya, All Might said. Not really, it just started after we got our powers, Izuku said. I see, well then let's head back, All Might said. The three nodded and they followed the hero. Spectator room. Dude, that was freaking awesome, Kirishima said. Izuku scratched his head. Thanks. The way you demolished the wall was wicked, Mineta spoke. Alright, let's get to the next matchup. All Might as he draw the next pairs. It was Team B playing as a hero and Team I playing as a villain. Izuku watched in amazement as Todoroki single-handedly frees the whole building and at the same time, keeping Hagakure and Ojiro in place. Then he casually approached the nuke and touched it. HH Hero TT Team WW wins, All Might said while shivering in cold. Everyone was on the same boat. Bakugo was unaffected yet he saw what happened on the monitor. He grit his teeth even more. Team J versus Team H. Zero create a fence made from the tape coming from his elbow, securing the nuke while Kirishima hardened his arms and prepared for fight. Outside, Tokoyami and Tsuyu went inside the building. The bird guy release a shadow like claws while the frog girl crawl on the wall. Team C versus Team G. Momo was barricading the doors using the reinforced steel plates that she create herself. Meanwhile, Mineta just looked perverted at her, causing the woman to glare at him. On the way, Jiru plugged one of her cables coming from her ear to pinpoint the location of the two mentioned earlier. Then she looked at Kaminari and pointed upwards, who began charging lightning on his right hand. Team F versus Team E. Kuji and Rikudu was ready to defend the nuke, albeit the former was scared while Yuga and Ashido was approaching them. The laser guy was walking in flashy style while Ashido was sliding using her acid. Then she jumps high, causing some acid to stain and melt Yuga's cape. After exam. Okay. Everyone did great, especially the first two hero teams, All Might said. Izuku nodded while Todoroki didn't react. Bakugo was still silent the whole time. Okay then, change and return to your classroom, so then I'll be excusing myself, All Might said as he ran in a blinding speed. The students was amazed at how fast he is, but Izuku felt there's something wrong with the number one hero. Why is he on a hurry? He thought. All Might, pant, pant, that was close one. All Might managed to reach the nurse office in time before he transformed into a thin-looking version of himself. I wonder how long you can keep this up. All Might? Recovery girl wonder. All Might look at her, then he sat on the clinic bed. I don't know. He answered honestly. It seems that his bulky transformation was getting shorter. You really have to find your successor or you'll end up getting killed before you even retire, Recovery girl said. But this power was something that can't be trusted to anyone. If this falls into wrong hands, I don't think I can forgive myself. All Might said, I understand your reason, but you're running out of time. I know, in fact, I already have one and he was recommended by that person. But I still want to look through the students here on Yui before I made my decision, All Might said. Well, it's all up to you in the end, Recovery girl said. Yeah, Izuku. Afternoon classes came to an end before he knew it, and now, he was now on his way home. Uraraka and Ida wasn't with him for unknown reason. Deku. Izuku turned to see Bakugo looking at him. He turned and faced him. Kaken, we're not done yet. Next time I'll going to defeat you, so don't think you win already. Bakugo shouted at him. Izuku found himself smiling. I see. Then I'll be waiting, he replied. Bakugo was about to walk when All Might arrived. Young Bakugo, he yelled as he held his shoulder. I know that one-sided victory was painful to you, but there are times you have to accept the outcome and move forward. Do you understand what I'm saying? All Might told him. Let go of me, All Might, Bakugo said. I'm going to become the number one hero and I'm going to surpass you one day, Bakugo said as he sweat his hand and walked home. He's gotten over it already? All Might asked. Yeah, I suppose. Izuku answered him. Then All Might turned to him. Young Midoriya, he said. Looking at him seriously, Izuku actually gulped at that. Is there something wrong, sensei? He asked. Can you come with me for a bit? There's something I want to discuss with you, he said. Unknown place. So All Might is now a teacher, huh? A teenage guy said. There were many hands attached to his body, including on his face. Beside him was a waiter whose head was made of black mist and yellow glowing eyes. I wonder what will happen if the symbol of peace, the first guy said, and a silhouette of a creature with exposed brain can be seen in the other side, was killed by the villains? Chapter 6, Trial of Rescue. Izuku, what is this? He asked himself. He was now surrounded by many reporters and cameramen. A microphone was forced on his lips. How was All Might's class? One of the reporters asked with excitement. Izuku sighed at that. Well, he's not a bad teacher. I guess that's what I can say for now. I'll go to the nurse office, so if you'll excuse me. Izuku lied on the last part and quickly went inside, not wanting to face another question. Uraraka, how was All Might's class? The same reporter asked the girl. He's so muscular, she said. Her answer was completely unrelated to the question. Ida, he's a great teacher. I was grateful that I will be able to learn from the number one hero. It will be a great privilege for us aspiring heroes, he said. Bakugo, how was All Might's class? She asked. Get the hell out of my way! He yelled at them before going inside, shocking all of the people. Aizawa, I'm not in mood to answer your questions. Besides, he's off duty, so get out of here. You're disturbing our class. He simply replied to them as he walked inside. It seems that his answer angered the reporter. We just want to know if we can speak to him. She went to chase Aizawa, but suddenly, several metal plates rose from the ground, completely blocking the gate. The reporter was forced to stumble on the ground. What's this? It's Yui barrier, her cameraman answer. That's what we call it. If anyone without any identification tried to enter the school, it will automatically activate it, he continued. We just want to. The reporter was seething in anger. Behind the crowd, a mysterious guy was also looking at the gate with interest. Class 1A. Okay. I have the results of your performance on the combat training you have done yesterday, and I saw the video too, Aizawa said while looking at the papers he had that contains the result. Bakugu, I heard that you attempt to attack Midoriya even if the fight was over, he remarked. The said boy gasped at that. You're a talented person, Bakugu, so don't waste it on pointless acts. Aizawa added. The explosive user grunted. I know, he said. Aizawa then focused on the entire class. Okay. I apologize that I bring this late, but... He stopped talking, giving tension to all students. Don't tell me. Another special test. Everyone thought in union. We need to pick a class representative. He ended. Finally, a normal school activity. They also thought in union. Then Aizawa let them decided to do what it must and headed to his sleeping bag. Hey, pick me. Pick me. Kirishima volunteered, raising his hand. Me too. Kaminari followed. I want to do it too, Jairu said, raising her hand. It's a job for someone like M-Yuga was interrupted. I'll be the leader, Ishido said. My rule as a representative. The girl's skirt must be 30 centimeters above the knee. Mineta inquired, raising his hand. Let me do it, Bakugu yelled. Enough. Everyone turned to Ida, who had an angry look on his face. The duty as a class representative is not something you can just do just because you like to do it. It held a lot of responsibility to lead the others to right path. He lectured them. Therefore, I suggest that we should settle this by the majority of votes. Is that all right, sensei? He then looked at Aizawa. I don't care as long as you decided before the end of the homeroom, he replied. Then he went back to sleep. I don't think it will work out that way, Tsu said. Yeah, we still don't know each other enough, and besides, they will just vote for themselves anyway, Kirishima added. Arg. This is the only way to settle this. Now let's start, Ida said. Few minutes later, voting was closed and the results were shown to them. They all look at it. Gasp and shocked faces can be seen as they look at the first two winners. Midoriya, 3. Yaoyorozu, 2. I guess Midoriya is our class representative and Yaoyorozu was the vice class representative, Kirishima said. What the heck? I got no votes. Ida was stunned. Who vote for DKU? Bakugu yelled in rage. Uraraka was whistling. Her head was turned away. Well, at least it was better than voting for you, don't you think? Zero teased. What did you say? At that, Aizawa lazily get up and look at the result. So I guess the class had decided, he said, but at that, Midoriya raised his hand, catching everyone's attention. I was happy that some of you actually trust me on this position, but I have to tell you that I'm not up to this task, so as a class representative, my first action is to pass this responsibility to Tenya Ida, if he ever agrees. Izuku told them. Some gasp, especially the mentioned man. Me? Yeah. I may not know you for a long time, Ida-san, but I can tell that you're a person that care about rules more than anyone else. So I think this position was suited to you, Izuku said. Midoriya, you really are a great friend. Of course I accept the position and I'm going to do my utmost best to fulfill my duties as class representative, Ida said. Izuku sighed in relief. He was really not up to this kind of job and it was not really his thing. Meanwhile, but what about me? Yaoyorozu thought. She was left behind. Lunch. Ida, Izuku and Uraraka was having lunch together. Ida was happy that he became the class representative, and it all thanks to his friend, Izuku. You just wasted the vote I gave you, Izuku-kun, Uraraka told them. Izuku and Ida gasped. So one of the votes came from you, Uraraka-san, the boy said. Of course. You should have give that to Ida-san instead, he said. Well, I guess so. Don't worry. Ida-san will do his best for us, right? Izuku turned to the glasses boy. That's right, so you can all count on me, Ida said with pride. Okay. I'm done eating, let's head. Ring. The three heard a loud noise of school alarm around the cafeteria. They stood up to find out what was going on. Ida turned to one of the students going outside. Hey, what's this alarm? Ida asked him. Someone trespassed our school grounds, he answered. Then he left. The three went outside and when they do, The three were now being sandwiched by the entire crowd of students. Move! Don't push! Damn it! Get going! Izuku, Ida, and Uraraka was struggling to stick at each other. What? They're rushing to get outside. Ida said, Izuku-kun. Ida-san. Uraraka yelled. She was getting separated from the two. Ida and Izuku was no different. They slowly getting farther at each other. Damn! This won't do. Ida became determined as he pushed himself through and going slowly to Uraraka. Uraraka-san, make me float. He yelled at her. The girl got his message, so she pushed herself toward him. The two reached for each other's hand. Just a bit more. Ida said as he put more effort to reach her hand and clap. Their hands touch and Uraraka didn't waste time to use her quirk. Ida float and then he fly towards the top of the door exit. Everyone calm down, he yelled. Since his voice was naturally loud and he's above the door, everyone heard him, so they all stop. I know this is all sudden, but everyone should calmly exit the door and follow the instructions of the teachers. There's no need to panic. Ida told them. Everyone didn't hesitate as they all slowly went outside. Ida sighed in relief. He did it, Izuku said. Now I can see your point, Izuku-kun, Uraraka told him. Outside, Nedzu, the principal of Yui along with two heroes, Midnight and Space Hero 13, was looking at the destroyed metal door of the front gate of the school. It's so obvious the no ordinary person could have broken through here, Midnight said. That's true. But the question is, who could have done this? Thryteen asked in concern. Nedzu inspected the broken gate last time before giving his opinion. Whoever it is, he must have a sinister motive. He told the two. Tomorrow. Okay, in this basic hero training, 3 instructors will supervise you. It includes me, All Might, and another person. Aizawa told them. 3? Everyone questioned. What kind of training we're doing this time? Zero asked. Aizawa then pick a flashcard and show it to them. It had a rescue word on it. Shipwrecks, natural disasters, and everything in between. It's rescue training, he announced. Everyone seems to be overjoyed at that as they started to chat at each other right away. Hey, I'm not done yet, Aizawa said. Everyone immediately turned to him. He coughed and continued talking. You can wear your costumes if you want. It depends on you. I think there are some costumes that limits your abilities, so get on it. The training field was off campus, so we'll be taking a bus. Aizawa then left them. Everyone stood up and get themselves ready. Few minutes later, everyone was there, and it seems each one of them decided to wear their costumes. Aizawa then mentioned everyone to get on the bus. They obliged, and after all students of Class A was secured inside, the bus left the school grounds. This will be a long trip since the training field was very far, so keep yourself busy for a while, Aizawa said. Yes, Sensei. Sensei, where's All Might? Izuku asked. Aizawa looked at him. Oh, All Might's caught up on hero work while on the way to school. Don't worry, he'll be also there, he answered. I see, he said. I hope he doesn't push himself too far yet. I just healed his body recently, he thought as he remembered the other day's event, the one that All Might asked him to come with him. Flashback. What did you want to talk about, Sensei? Izuku asked nervously. All Might led him into the nurse office, which is quite strange for some reason, and also, he noticed Recovery Girl was also present. I want to ask about your quirk, young Midoriya, All Might said. My quirk? That's right, your use of different elements since the entrance exam bugs me a lot, he told him. How? I have encountered a certain enemy that can use multiple quirks, and it includes usage of different elements, and when I saw you doing almost the same, I thought that you're his some sort of apprentice. All Might explain. Eh? Apprentice? Of who? Izuku asked. He was confused. All Might and Recovery Girl gasped. You mean you don't have a trainer or teacher? All Might asked. Nope. I just train myself, that's all, Izuku answered. All Might somehow breathed a sigh of relief. I see. I'm sorry for suspecting you, young Midoriya. That's all I dash. All Might stopped talking as he felt that his transformation wear off, reverting back into a thin-looking version of himself. What happened? Izuku asked in shock. All Might silently cursed and Recovery Girl sigh. Bad timing. Well, I guess as an apology, I have no choice but to tell you a secret of mine that was only known to few people here on the school, All Might said. A secret? You see, Midoriya-san, All Might sustained a very severe injury during his hero work. It damaged most of his organs and completely obliterated his stomach. As a result, his hero work was reduced by 3 hours per day, Recovery Girl explained. All Might then show him the injury by lifting his shirt. That was... We have to keep this a secret from the whole society because if the villains found out that the symbol of peace was heavily injured, they will take advantage of it for sure, Recovery Girl continue. So, I ask you a favor to keep this to yourself? Can I expect that from you? All Might asked. Izuku, however, has different plans. Oh, of course, I will keep this to myself for your sake. But if you like, there's something I would like to try. Izuku told them. The two gasp again. Try what? Heal your organs and recover your stomach if you agree. He said. Why you can do that? I'm not sure. That's why I would like to try. Izuku said. Well, if you say so, it's worth a shot. All Might said. But first, I need a large amount of water. Izuku said. Of course, wait here. Recovery Girl said as she went out. After a few minutes, she came back with a couple gallon of water brought by one of his assistants. Will this be enough? She asked. Ah, yes, that's more than enough. All Might, you can lay on the bed now, Izuku said. All Might nodded and laid on the clinic bed. He removed his shirt, exposing the upper part of his body along with the injury he had. I hope this work, Izuku muttered as he raised his left arm, and then with a small motion of his hand and fingers, the water went outside of the gallon and went to his hand, and then Izuku placed it on All Might's injured stomach. Using Waterbending's healing ability, Izuku started to heal the wound and attempt to restore his stomach. The water coated All Might's upper body and it glowed bright blue. Recover Girl was shocked and impressed at the same time. This is the first time a water was used this way. This is, All Might said as he feel a strange yet warm sensation, and he can feel that all of the injuries he had, whether it be a permanent or temporary one, was being mended and healed back to its top condition. After a few minutes he feels a lot better than before. Okay, All Might's injuries are healed. Now for the hard part. Izuku then focused the water into his stomach. All Might feels different. Ha can definitely feel that his stomach was slowly being restored. He feels that he's getting better and better as the minute passed by. Then after a few hours it was done and his stomach was fully back to him. After that, Izuku panted. It took a lot of his energy. How is it? All Might? Recover Girl asked, and then All Might's thin form was engulfed by a smoke, and when it was cleared, it revealed his muscular form. Amazing! I can't believe this is really happening, All Might said as he flexed his muscles and touched his abs. He feel that his original power was back to him. It worked. I'm back to my prime. I must thank you, young Midoriya. I owe you this, All Might said. Izuku looked to him. He's still panting, but at least he managed to help him. Good. For you, All Might. That was some incredible healing power, Midoriya-san. Not even me can do that, Recovery Girl said as she approached the boy. It was nothing. I'm glad that All Might was fully back to business, he said. All Might and Recovery Girl smile at him. Okay, time to do Hero OW. All Might's ear was pinched by Recovery Girl. You just got your body back, and since you just recovered doesn't mean you can suddenly jump out and save people. At least not yet. You have to rest for a while so you can get used to your body. Got it? Recovery Girl said. Okay, I understand. You too, Midoriya-san. It seems that it took a lot of your energy to heal All Might, so you can rest here for a while, she said. Thanks. End flashback. Hey, Midoriya.
Zeus minus Luge.
Ha! Izuku turned to see Uraraka and Ida. The two was looking at him with worried faces. What? You're spacing out again. We already arrive on the training ground Sensei was talking about, Uraraka said. He looked to see a giant dome on front of them. He scratched his head. He really dozed off while remembering the events yesterday. I see. Then let's go, Izuku said as he, Uraraka and Ida went outside followed by their classmates for their lesson. Chapter 7 Villain Attack. Streets. Okay, heroes, if you come near me, I'll kill these rich family here. A pink-colored villain threatened the heroes in front of him. His right arm was strangling 3 people. 2 of them were children. Damn you! Kamui Woods cursed. Beside him was Empty Lady, and she also appeared to be wounded too. It seems that the 2 was beaten up from the struggle of this villain, and the fact he had taken a hostage make their job a lot harder. It's fine now, family. The 2 heroes and the villain gasped at the voice of the newcomer. Then before the villain could turn around, he was knocked out by a chop. Then the figure landed along with the people that was taken hostage. Because I'm here, All Might, the symbol of peace grin, and then he put them down, and after he makes sure they're safe, he jumped very high, almost reaching a building level. Meanwhile on the air, All Might look at his hand and grin. He still can't believe that his power was really back to him, unlike before, where he had to put more effort just to maintain his hero form for a limited amount of time, but thanks to Midoriya, he can now perform heroic duties without worries and in full strength as well. Oh crap! I was so caught up on my work that I was really late. Probably they're already at the USJ. Oh well, better head to UA first, All Might told himself, then headed to the said school first to let the principal know that he arrived before going to the training ground where the Class A was. When a hit and run! A scream was heard. All Might sighed, and then he went to the source of the voice. He still had a very long way as a teacher, that's for sure. Class A, everyone, I was waiting for you. A guy wearing a space suit like clothes greet Izuku and the other students, who were now shocked as they all recognized the hero in front of them. It's Space Hero 13, a hero who saved so many people from disasters, Izuku said. Okay, let's go inside. Shall we? 13 said. Everyone nodded and then followed the hero inside a dome-like building. On the inside, everyone was awed at the sheer size of the place. It was divided into 5 sites that includes erect buildings, mountains, a red dome, a lake, and another dome which is colored blue, and in the center of all was a plaza with a fountain on it. Wow, it's like Universal Studio Japan, Kirishima said, impressed at the place obviously. A shipwreck, a landslide, a fire, a windstorm, etc. This is the training ground which I prepared to simulate different types of disasters and accidents. It's called Unforeseen Simulation Joint, or USJ in short. 13 explained. The entire class sweat dropped. It really is USJ. They all thought. Then after that, Aizawa went in front of them. Okay, since All Might will not be here for the time being, 13 will explain the procedures, so let's get started. Aizawa then let 13 speak. Okay, before we begin, I have one reminder. Air, or 2, or 3, maybe 4, 5, 6, 7. 13 said with uncertainty. It's increasing. Anyway, I'm sure everyone was aware of my quirk. Black hole. It can suck up things and turn it to dust, 13 asked. Yes, and it's very effective quirk for removing obstacles and other things for rescue purpose, Izuku answered. Oh, that's quite an information you have there. Anyway, he was right, but let me remind you that this power can easily kill people if used in wrong way, 13 said. Well, it's not just me. I'm sure there are some of you with quirks that can kill. Am I wrong? He asked them. Everyone didn't feel the need to answer because they knew some of them has that kind of quirk. In this superhuman society we are in, personal quirks are strictly regulated so that it won't become a problem in the near future. However, do not forget that one wrong use of your quirks can take away a life, so all in all, it was still depends on the students, which is you guys, on how are you all going to manage your own quirk. In Aizawa's fitness test, you learn the possibility of your own hidden powers. In All Might's person-to-person combat training, you experience the danger of using your powers to another person. This class will be the refresher for all of you. You're going to use your quirks to save people's lives. You have powers for the sake of saving people and not to harm them. That's all, and thank you for listening. 13 finished his speech. Everyone gave him a round of applause. That's wonderful. Bravo. Bravo. Okay then, first your dash. Aizawa stopped talking as the lights around the place flickered and then went out. Izuku and the others look up and wondered what just happened. Then the fountain on the plaza became distorted. After a few seconds, a black energy appeared, getting bigger and wider, and then it morphed into a black mist with yellow glowing eyes. Then from it, a person appeared with its arms and head are covered with multiple hands. It glared at them. It didn't took a couple of seconds for Aizawa to realize what was happening. Damn it! 13. Gather the students and don't move. Aizawa cursed as he looked at the plaza and aside on the first guy. Many persons, mutants and monsters emerge one after another. Whoa! It's just like in the entrance exam. Has the test already started? Kirishima asked ignorantly. Izuku tried to get a closer look. Don't move! Aizawa yelled, causing the entire class to halt their movements. They all wonder what their teacher was planning as he put on his goggles. Those are villains, he finally told them. Everyone was stunned. All Might, sorry. I was so engrossed at my hero work. It won't happen again, he apologized to Nedzu. He and the principal were on the school lounge. It's okay. I knew that you're new to teaching experience, so I let you off this time. But I was so surprised. You said that your body was completely healed and you recover your stomach? I wonder who did that to you? Nedzu asked. He was in complete awe at what All Might told him. At first he didn't believe him, but afterwards, All Might ended up proving him wrong after he just realized that the symbol of peace was on his hero form for almost 5 hours, from the time he was on his home, saving a rich family from a pink villain, etc. And he's still okay. The fact that she was capable of this healing ability greater than the a nurse recovery girl. means he must be a very talented person. It was a boy named Midoriya, All Might told him, Nezu gasped. Oh, you mean the boy that was rumored to have multiple quirks, right? He asked. Yes, but I thought you actually suspected him as an apprentice of your nemesis, Nezu said. Well, I thought that as well, so I decided to speak to young Midoriya about this the other day, but it turns out that I made a mistake. And then he accidentally found out my secret, which it turns out very well for me because he healed me back to my full power. All Might summarized the entire story. So ironically, the one you suspected ended up saving you instead. The principal said, yeah, I suppose. Very well. I guess it will give you a lot of time to pick your successor for your quirk, Nezu inquired. That's right. I see. But I think you have to go to USJ quick. Aizawa and 13 was waiting for you there. The Class A has already arrived on the place, it seems. We'll talk about that later. Nezu said. Yeah. All Might then depart from the window of the room, jumping and running on the streets. Then few minutes after he left Nezu, he heard a scream somewhere. KYA. Help me. All Might gasped as he heard a woman's voice. He sighed at that. There's no way he'll leave all people in need behind so without much of a choice. He responded to it. Oh well, I guess one more hero work won't hurt. All Might muttered as he rushed to the source of the voice. USJ. Gasps and shocked face was expressed by the entire class at what Aizawa told them. Villains infiltrating a school property such as this, and what's more, it was one of the place guarded by pro-heroes. Thryteen and Eraserhead, huh? The Black Mist spoke. Seeing the two pro-heroes, then another villain appeared from him, but this one was different. It has an exposed head, revealing his brain and hold a menacing glare. According to the schedule we procured the other day, All Might was supposed to be here as well. He continued. So the trespassing of the press the other day was your doing? Ha, Aizawa spoke. Where is he? I went through the trouble of bringing all of this crowd and he's not here, the guy with multiple hands said. He's a bit frustrated. All Might, the symbol of peace. Where is he? He asked the two. Aizawa and 13 didn't respond obviously. Then the guy with many hands had a thought. I wonder if he'll show up if we kill some kids? He added. That drew the last straw as Aizawa loosened the bandages wrapped on his neck, while 13 went in front of the students to protect them. Villains? How did they come to a hero school? Kirishima asked in disbelief. Sensei, what happened to the trespasser censors? Momo asked 13. We have, of course, but it seems that one of them had a quirk that allows them to slip through it, he answered. Also, did they just come here on this place? Or they also appear around the school? Todoroki suddenly asked. Either way, it seems that this kind of attack was carefully planned with some sort of goal in mind, he continued. Everyone gasped at that. 13. Proceed with the evacuation, Kaminari. Try contacting the school using your quirk, Aizawa instructed. All right, yes, sir. Sensei, what about you? Don't tell me you're going to fight all of them by yourself. Izuku asked in concern. I'll be fine, after all. Pro heroes have more than one trick up on their sleeve, Aizawa said as he jumped on the plaza, facing the entire crowd of villains. Shooting squad, let's go! A guy with guns on each of his fingers yelled. Then he was accompanied by a gray-haired woman and a green bull guy. Didn't our intel says that it was just only All Might and 13? Then who's that? The woman asked. Who knows, but if he thinks that he can just suddenly charge right at us, he was just an idiot. The bull guy followed. Let's go! The three yelled, but under his goggles. Aizawa glared at the three of them simultaneously. The first guy then attempted to fire bullets from his fingers, but click. Ha, my quirk! It won't activate, he said. Then he, along with the other two villains, was suddenly wrapped by Aizawa's super strong bandages and held them up high. The pro hero then slammed their heads together hard and knocked them out cold. Idiot! That was Eraserhead. He can erase quirks just by looking at his target, one of the villains said, realizing the pro hero in front of them. Erase? Then can you erase a mutant-type quirk like mine? The mutant villain asked. His appearance is less human and he had 4 arms too. He then proceeded to throw punches at Aizawa, who dodged with ease. No, I can't. But with the skills you guys have. Aizawa then punched him on the face, sending him on the air. Then he pulled one of his bandages and wrapped it on his leg. Then he instinctively dodged a strike from behind. You are specialized on close combat, so I've taken measure against that as well. Eraserhead then slammed the mutant villain he punched recently to the one who attacked him from behind, knocking them out as well. The pro hero took his stance and let his guard up. So he's strong in hand-in-hand combat as well, and since he's covering his eyes with that goggles of his, We can't tell whose quirk he's erasing. I really hate pro-heroes. This masses don't stand a chance against them, the villain with many hands said as he watched Aizawa knocked out another set of villains. Class 1A, let's go! 13 said as he led the entire class. Izuku took one last glance at the battle before he followed the others on the door that will take them outside. However, before they even reach halfway, a black swirling energy appeared in front of them, then it manifested into a black mist with glowing yellow eyes. 13 went in front of them in a protective way. Greetings, we are the League of Villains, the Black Mist villain spoke and introduced his group to the youngsters. According to the schedule, All Might, the symbol of peace was supposed to be here too. Tell me, where is he? The Black Mist asked casually. It's as if he's asking a normal civilian for directions. Eventually he got his answer, but not the one he's looking for. Heh! You think we'll just tell you, bastard? Bakugo yelled as he dashed forward. He was accompanied by Kirishima, who hardened his arms. Stop! Don't do it! 13 tried to stop the two students, but it was too late. Bakugo ignited his hands straight to the villain's face and Kirishima punched him. An explosion occurred around it. All right, Kirishima cheered, thinking that he hit him. I bet you didn't see that coming? Bakugo yelled. After few seconds of waiting, the smoke finally subsided to reveal that the villain wasn't damaged at all. Everyone was shocked. That's a close one. He spoke, then after few seconds he focused his attention back to the students and 13. Whatever, I'm sure he'll appear eventually, but right now I'll focus on all of you. You may be students right now, but all of you are heroes, excellent golden eggs. So my job is to scatter all of you and torture you until you beg for your lives. The Black Mist said as he surrounded them with black mist, but as he was about to engulf all of them, a massive amount of wind was blown around them, clearing the entire black mist completely. What? Everyone wondered what just happened and what was that fierce wind just now, the one that blew away the mist. Then a voice was heard from behind them. I won't let you. Everyone heard Midoriya spoke, so they all turned to him, but the moment they do, they were all wide eyes and gasped at the sight. His eyes were glowing white. Chapter 8. Rampage. What is this feeling? The Black Mist stuttered, seeing Izuku's glowing eyes. He can tell that the kid was glaring at him. With swift motion, Izuku thrust his fist and the intense flames of his firebending erupt from his fist. The Black Mist villain managed to protect himself with a curtain of swirling energy, but he suddenly felt a tremor on his feet. However, before he can even react, he was sent flying by a giant cement block being thrust to him from the ground. GUH! The Black Mist villain was flown back to where the horde of villains are, but Izuku followed him there, turning around and jumping from his position, enhancing his leap using airbending, ignoring 13's protest and his classmates' shocked faces. What the heck was that? Kirishima asked. Who knows? I don't know. But I feel that time Izuku-kun was angry. Uraraka blurted out. Angry? On what? Momo asked her. I'm not sure, but I think the way that villain said that he was going to torture us. Maybe he snapped because of it, Uraraka said. But it was too dangerous out there. There were so many villains and he'll just get on Sensei's way. Tsuyu spoke, but the space hero cut their conversation short. Anyway, I'll go fetch Midoriya after I escort all of you outside. Let's go, 13 said as he led the students outside. They all reluctantly followed as they headed through the door. That dimwit, trying to show off. Bakugo spat out. He too was tempted to went to the battlefield, especially now that Midoriya went on his own. He cursed yet again. Todoroki, however, was intrigued on Izuku's glowing eyes instead. Is that part of his quirk too? And he also noticed how the air around him completely changed, as if he became a completely different person at that time. He then wondered to himself, Midoriya Izuku. Just what are you? Main Plaza. The situation was still the same. Aizawa was still on process of erasing the mass quirks and knocking several of them out cold, but fortunately, their numbers were dwindling. The villain with many hands and the one with exposed brains still watch him on the sidelines and observing him. This made Aizawa worried since they will figure out his pattern if the fight will drag any longer. Damn it, this will get me nowhere. The pro-hero muttered as he unleashed so many bandages and capture as many villains as he can and throw them away like nothing. Then he quickly made his way to the two. The villain with many hands didn't feel the need to move as the one with exposed brain went in front of him and confront the pro-hero. This guy! Aizawa then tried to erase its quirk, but to his shock, nothing happened. The bird-like villain in front of him then suddenly disappear and reappear just inches away of him as if he teleport and grab his head. Aizawa tried to stop him using his bandages, but the villain just ripped them effortlessly using his other hand. Then he slammed Aizawa's head on the ground. Gah! Aizawa spat blood after being slammed on the floor very hard. The bird-like villain then tightened his grip on his head in attempt to crush it, and he was succeeding in doing so. Ah! Aizawa screamed. This villain was too strong for him. It's almost as strong as All Might in terms of speed and power, but then to his surprise, he stopped crushing his head.
Bevastaje H.
Aizawa didn't get to finish as he was slammed yet again. At that point, the villain with many hands walked towards the two. He then kneeled down and faced Aizawa, who was now being pinned down on the floor with his arms being gripped, ready to be crushed if necessary. D-damn! You! But as the villain with many hands was about to interrogate him, someone landed hard on the ground. He was forced to shield himself from the intense wind upon impact. Then after a few seconds, the dust subsided to reveal the black mist villain struggling to get back on his feet. Kurogyri. Then just after he landed, another one landed hard as well, just several meters in front of Kurogyri. It was later revealed to be Midoriya, but his eyes were glowing white. The villain with many hands was amused to be able to inflict damage to Kurogyri. What's with that kid? Midoriya, what are you doing here? Aizawa yelled, but to his surprise, the green-haired boy didn't even acknowledge him as he proceeded to glare at Kurogyri. Midoriya then raised his right hand, and after a few seconds, the entire water from the flood zone side of the USJ rose and then went to him. It formed a giant circular ring around him. Then he raised his left hand, and the entire mountain in the mountain zone crumbled into many boulders. Midoriya tightly clenched his fist, and then as a response, the large boulders were tightly compressed in size of stones, and it circled around him. Then after that, Midoriya roared loudly, unleashing a large stream of searing hot flames from his mouth, and the fire he released encircled around him. And last, Midoriya floated and spun in the air while waving his arms, and a stream of air blew around, and it forms a circular ring around him. The spectators couldn't believe what they are seeing. Even the pro-hero Aizawa was shocked despite he already knew he had multiple quirks. Midoriya was now surrounded with 4 elements in form of circular rings. This brat can use more than one quirk, Kurogyri spoke. He was taken aback at what he saw. Is he like Sensei? The villain with many hands asked. Shigaraki, I think we're in trouble here, Kurogyri told him. The villain with many hands merely scoffed at that. Not if I have to say anything about it. Muyu, Shigaraki yelled. Then after that, the muscular bird-like villain who was pinning Aizawa looked at his new target. Then it let the pro-hero go and then went in front of Kurogyri facing Midoriya. Destroy that brat, Shigaraki ordered. Outside USJ, thanks to Midoriya's sudden actions, everyone made it out safely. They were catching their breath, and not only that, everyone was worried about their classmate and teacher inside. Damn this! Bakugo yelled in frustration. Kaminari, did you manage to make contact to the U-13? Asked the lightning user. The blonde guy shook his head. Not yet, we're too far to the school, it will take more time, he responded. 13 grunted, then he turned to Ida. Tenya-san, I have a favor to ask, he told him. What is it, sensei? I want you to use your quirk and go back to the school to seek help while Kaminari will still try to contact them. With your power, I knew you can do it, 13 requested him. Ida immediately understood. Yes, sir. Okay. I'll go back and get Midoriya. You guys stay here until someone from the school arrive. 13 said, but as he was about to ran off back to the entrance, the entire dome shook as well as the ground. What's this tremor? I had a bad feeling about this. I'll go back inside now, 13 said. I'll go with you, sensei, Todoroki suddenly told him, surprising all of them. No, you guys stay here. Me too. Midoriya was there, and there's no way we'll leave him behind. Kirishima followed. I'll go too. Bakugo yelled, he only want to go because he wants some action. You guys, 13 said. He will try to stop them, but the look those 3 were giving means they won't take no as an answer. With a sigh, he finally agreed. Fine. But promise me you 3 won't do something reckless and you'll always stick with me. Got it? 13 told them. Yes, sir. All right, let's go. Then the 4 went back inside USJ. The remaining students can't do anything but to wait for the rescue. Inside USJ, Midoriya was floating, and around him was 4 circular rings made out of 4 elements each, and facing him was the artificial villain called Numu. The boy's eyes was still glowing white while looking at his opponent. Aizawa was on the ground, severely beaten by the villain, but it didn't stop him from yelling at his student. Midoriya, get the hell out of here. Aizawa screamed at him, but the boy didn't even show any response as he took the first move. crossing his arms, and then one of the compressed stones rotating around him crumbled into tiny pieces of stone shards and hurl itself at the villain. At first they all thought that it was useless, but they soon regret it because those small stone shards was more than enough to send Nomu flying and destroy a portion of the USJ, making the whole place shook and covered it with dust. What the hell just happened? Kurojairi can't help but awed. What is this power? Aizawa wondered as he looked again at his student, who was still in the air then from the dust. Numu jumped high and then cocked his fist in attempt to land a punch at the green-haired boy. It appears that he was undamaged. How? He was hit directly. Aizawa wondered aloud. Behold Nomu's shock absorption quirk. It will absorb any shock from any type of attacks. So damaging him would take a lot of effort, Shigaraki told him with pride. However, before he can even get close to him, Midoriya countered by thrusting his right hand, then his left hand in swift motion. And as a response, 5 immensely hot fireballs emerged from the fire circular ring. All of it were heading at Numu, but the villain effortlessly punched the air, and the shockwave from its fist was more than enough to disperse all of the fireballs, but slice. Numu's arms were sliced down by 2 highly pressured water laser coming on the water circular ring. Midoriya's fingers were pointed straight to him. It seems that he manipulated the water in that form. Numu fell on the ground with thud, seemingly defeated. Aizawa has no words to spoke. Kurojairi was speechless, but Shigaraki just smirked. It's too early to celebrate, you brat, he said. Then after he said that, Numu surprisingly stood up, and then the cells of both of his arms were rapidly regenerating, and then after a few seconds, its arms were completely healed and it's as good as new. What? I thought he had shock absorption quirk? Aizawa was stunned. Shigaraki smiled. I didn't say that was his only quirk. Numu had the combination of shock absorption quirk, regeneration quirk, and strength and speed enhancing quirk. He is a villain designed to take on All Might at 100%. Shigaraki finally revealed Numu's secrets to the two. What? Numu then jumped towards Midoriya, who responded by flying away before he was captured. Then he launched another set of fireballs using his firebending, and at the same time, he motioned his right hand in swirling motion, and the air circular ring released a whip made out of wind. Numu punched the fireball, dispersing all of them just like the last time, but he didn't see the air whip snaking from his belly. It crawls towards his head and enveloped it like a small air dome. Then we can see that the air on the villain's lungs was started to be sucked out from his mouth. What's happening? Shigaraki asked as he saw the air dome on Numu's head. Numu was struggling to breathe because the air on his lungs were being forced out. Therefore, it having difficulty to move in breath, he tried to grab the air dome, but his hands were just passed through the air. The bird-like villain roared in agony as his last breath was being drained from his lungs. Then, after a few minutes, the villain is no longer moving. And no way. He killed Numu by suffocation, Kurojairi said in disbelief. Aizawa was shocked too. Not just because his student managed to defeat a powerful villain, but he also managed to actually kill it. That's impossible. Shigaraki was the most affected by this. A villain that they spend so much effort to create in order to kill All Might was defeated by a single brat. Shigaraki, we have to retreat. If we stay here any longer, we'll be captured too, Kurojairi told, and his suspicion was confirmed as he immediately noticed Aizawa was running towards them. It seems he took the advantage of their shock to capture them. You won't escape, the pro-hero yelled. Right now he had to capture these two for interrogation. He'll deal with Midoriya later. TCH. Kurojairi then let out a swirling black energy in front of Shigaraki to protect him from Aizawa's bandages. As the material were warped somewhere, the energy were also blocking Aizawa's view, therefore, he won't be able to erase their quirk. Damn you, brat! The multi-hand villain yelled in total anger as he was taken by the black mist villain. Aizawa tried another attempt to capture them, but the two were already gone. He grunted, but he let it pass as he now focused on still floating Izuku. Midoriya, Aizawa muttered. There's something's wrong with his student, especially with his eyes glowing white. Then all of a sudden, the light disappeared in his eyes and the elemental rings disappeared around him. Finding himself in a free fall, he was unconscious. Aizawa didn't waste time as he used his bandages to catch the boy before he hit the ground. He retracted the bandages and catch Izuku, carrying him bridal style. What did just happen? Is that also part of his quirk? He thought as he heard several footsteps. He turned to see Thriteen, Todoroki, Kirishima, and Bakugo running towards him. Sensei, Kirishima yelled as the four finally reached Aizawa. Midoriya, is he okay? He followed, seeing Midoriya's unconscious body. He's fine, he just lost consciousness, Aizawa answered him. I see. So erase her head. "Where's the villains?" 13 asked. "They're gone, but 2 of them managed to get away," Aizawa spoke. Then he motioned his head and turned to Numu's corpse as well as the unconscious bodies of the other villains. They followed his gaze and saw all of it. Then they all look around to see total destruction around USJ. The mountain site no longer have mountains. The flood zone was drained of its water, and the ground itself was bombarded with small stones with small craters on each of it. They were beyond shock while Todoroki was amused. What exactly happened here? Eraserhead? I highly doubt that the villains had enough power to cause all of this, 13 asked. Aizawa didn't answer this time, he just looked at Izuku. "Sensei, we'll worry about that later, first we have to get out and regroup with the students." Aizawa changed the topic, 13 agreed, and so is Kirishima, but Bakugo and Todoroki sensed something big here happened. Then they look at Izuku. "Did he?" "No, it's impossible, there's no way he can." Todoroki shook the possibility as they all headed outside. As for Bakugo, he was slowly seething in rage. Despite his Bakugo attitude, he was quite a detective and can actually pick up what is going on, and from what he observed, there's no way Aizawa can do this alone. Sure, the villains might have, but it was still not enough, so the only possibility is him. But that shit Stain. Did he do all of this? Outside, there they are. All of the people in Class 1A saw the 5 plus the unconscious Izuku being carried by 13 in piggy bank ride style. Aizawa tossed Izuku to him since he's not used carrying people like that.
Jevo minus Luge.
Uraraka was the first one to approach them. "Is he okay?" she asked in worry. "He's fine, he just lost consciousness. That's all," Aizawa told them. Everyone then turned around to see Ida. Following him was the number 1 hero, All Might. Ida was lucky that he managed to cross paths with All Might, who was doing hero work nearby the road he's running on, so he immediately went to him and told him what's happening on the USJ. "Aizawa, what happened here? Is everyone safe?" All Might asked as he landed in front of everyone. He looked at the students and it seems they're all okay, and when his eyes landed in Izuku, he gasped. "What happened to him? He just sleeping, that's all. Apparently he lost consciousness inside the USJ. But don't worry, he'll wake up soon," Aizawa replied. "That's a relief." Then after a few minutes, all staff from the UA arrive. Kaminari finally succeed on contacting the school, and after hearing of what happened, the campus send all of their teachers/heroes on the site. Police and authorities was also with them in order to arrest the villains that was left behind and question the entire class about what happened. A medical bay. Ugh. Izuku slowly opened his eyes, and when he do, he found himself in a room with ceiling fan above. He grunted a bit and then he sat up on the bed. "You're awake," Izuku heard Recovery Girl's voice. He turned to left to see her sitting on the chair. What happened to me?" he asked the nurse. But as she was about to give him an answer, "You passed out, young Midoriya," he heard All Might's voice. He turned to the right to see the him, and next to him was Aizawa. His face shows a bit disappointing look. "Passed out. You actually step in the battle unauthorized. Normally I would give you an appropriate punishment for that, but..." Aizawa sternly told him. "I can feel that you're different at that time, so I'm gonna ask what exactly happened back there." He finished, then after a long silence, he finally spoke. I don't know," Izuku answered them. Meanwhile, inside a secluded building, a swirling black energy appeared. Then Shigaraki came out of it, and just after he stepped out, the black energy morphed into a human being with its head and hands made out of black energy, and he has glowing yellow eyes. He's wearing a waiter attire. "What happened?" a voice asked. The 2 villains turned to the large monitor in front of them. It only shows static indicating that there's no video feed. "It was a complete failure," Shigaraki told him. He was still angry at what happened. "How?" "All of them were defeated. All Might was not there, and what's worst, Numu was killed by a brat." Shigaraki spat out. They can definitely hear gasp and shock reaction on the other side. "That's ridiculous. That was impossible. Our strongest weapon was beaten by a brat. After all of those enhancements we put on him to make him as powerful as All Might." "Sensei," Shigaraki spoke after they listened to the reactions of the other people. Then after that, a new voice spoke, but this time it was deep and intimidating one. "What is it, Shigaraki? The brat who killed Numu can also use multiple quirks just like you. He's not related to you, isn't he?" he asked his teacher. "Of course, you already know that you are my only successor, but still, a person that can use many quirks." "Huh. That was really amusing. This world really consists of many interesting individuals indeed. Anyway, you should stay low for now. We'll wait for an opportunity to reveal ourselves to the society. But don't worry, soon the people will know how truly terrifying you are." Shigaraki Tamura. I know that already. Chapter 9. Preparation. Dagoba Municipal Beach Park. Izuku looked at the breathtaking sight of ocean miles away from seaside he's been standing. This kind of sight really calmed him down whenever he's stressed. It's been a day after the USJ incident, and it's also the day where he fight actual villains, even though he didn't have control of himself at that time. It's been a decade ever since I discover who I am and train here. On this place, Izuku muttered under his breath while watching some waves crash on his feet. It's really good sign Aizawa-sensei and the others bought that. He added as he remembered all the things he told his teachers in order to hide his identity. He's still not ready to tell anyone yet. Flashback. So, what exactly happened back there? Aizawa asked him. I don't know. You don't know? It's your own quirk for everyone's sake, and you don't know what you just did. Are you hiding something? His teacher followed up. Hey Aizawa. He just woke up, you know. Don't you think it's a bit too much to ask him questions like that? All Might asked. Aizawa looked at him with a neutral expression. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on here, All Might. I just want to be prepared in case something like this happened again. Aizawa told him. But Izuku followed up. Aizawa and the occupants turned to Midoriya. It seems that he wants to say something. From what I can see, it seems that was my powered-up state my quirk has. But in 10 years I've been training my powers. I don't even have time to explore it because it just occurred when I fell into some sort of emotional breakdown. And I often lost control of myself every time I did it, Izuku told them, half-truth. You mean your quirk can boost its power even further when you're emotional disoriented or in a pinch? That's the first time I've ever heard of it, All Might said. Me too. In fact, according to research, there's no way quirks can't undergo such things like strength augmentation or anything alike, unless they're tampered, that is, Recovery Girl added. So are you saying your quirk was artificial? Aizawa asked him. Izuku immediately shook his head. No, of course not, sensei, he answered. Aizawa looked at him for one last time before sighing. Okay, I'll let this pass, but if another incident like this occurs, expect a punishment, and I don't care if you did it on purpose or not. Take a rest, kid. You need it, Aizawa said before leaving the three. After he left, Izuku let out a sigh of relief. So, young Midoriya, I'll be on my way as well. Make sure you control that quirk of yours so it can't cause trouble, All Might said as he too went outside, leaving him and Recovery Girl. Okay, just as the two said, you should lay down for a while. I don't see any serious injury on your body when I examine you while you're unconscious, so all you have to do was to take a long rest before you join the others outside, Recovery Girl said. Izuku nodded as he went back to his bed. End flashback. Izuku realized that he stay in the beach too long, so he decided to go home. There are no school today thanks to the incident, so he decided to use this time to clear his mind of anything that was stressful, and hopefully, it will make him feel better. Next day at UA. Okay, about the ringleaders, Shigaraki and Kurogiri. None of the name matches the database on quirk registry. It means that those two are probably using false names or dash. They're the one of the people with unregistered quirks, Midnight said. The chief inspector nodded at that. After he managed to extract information from the captured villains, he found out the ringleaders' names, but he wasn't sure if it was their real name or not. So he consulted the Unit A to see if they knew someone with that name. That's right, all the school teachers/heroes were having a meeting regarding the USJ incident that involves Class 1A. Of course that includes All Might. But still, attacking a place that was guarded by pro-heroes just like that. It's either they're stupid or overconfident on their abilities, another hero said. I don't think so. Aizawa said, everyone look at him. How are you so certain at that, Eraserhead? Because among the villains who invade USJ, there's one that actually had a power that can possibly rival All Might's, Aizawa said. Shocked faces can be seen on some heroes. What? Are you serious? That Shigaraki was actually boasting it in front of me. I'm not believing it at first. Until I saw and experienced it myself, his speed and power can actually match All Might's and, in worst case scenario, may overpower him, Aizawa continued. Everyone gossip at each other regarding the situation. That definitely is a very serious matter. So where is that villain right now? Did he manage to escape along with the two as well? He's dead, Aizawa simply replied. What? But you just told us recently that he had power that can match the #1 hero, and now you're telling us that he's dead. How? What happened? 10- Aizawa suddenly stopped, confusing the others. What? Is there something wrong? Eraserhead? Aizawa for the first time was conflicted if he's going to tell them that Midoriya was the one who killed that villain or not, because if he did tell them, it would attract a lot of unwanted attention, and besides, They wouldn't believe it at all, so with that, I managed to erase his quirk for just a moment and use my bandages to strangle it until it was killed. Since it can't be killed by just brute force, I used technique on it. Aizawa told them. It was a complete lie, but this was for that kid's sake. He's not ready yet for criticisms. I see. As expected of a pro hero. Why yeah, but it wasn't easy. I have to calculate his movements very carefully or else I'm dead. His speed was really astonishing, and I was really lucky that the villain isn't thinking at all. All he had was speed and power and no intelligence, Aizawa added. I see. As the meeting continues with the USJ incident as the main topic, All Might can clearly see that Aizawa was lying at that statement, so he decided to confront him after this. After the meeting, Aizawa, can I speak with you for a moment? All Might said. Aizawa turned to him. Everyone went into separate ways, so this would be the best time. What is it? About what you said that you killed the villain? You're lied about it, right? All Might asked. Aizawa didn't react at that until, yes, I wasn't actually me, it was Midoriya who killed that villain, Aizawa admit. All Might gasped. What? I don't care if you believe me or not, but I'm telling you the truth this time. Midoriya did killed it. I just took the credit because if I tell them the truth, not only that no one would believe me, but also Midoriya's well-being would be put into danger, and as his teacher, I can't let that happen, Aizawa said. All Might was actually stunned. He didn't see that coming from him. I see. That makes a lot of sense. But how did he do it? All Might added. He used his ability to control the air around to suffocate it, Aizawa answered him. Well, if you're not going to say anything to me, I'll be going to my class, Aizawa said as he walked away. All Might just nodded at that. He was still stunned at what Aizawa told him, but eventually he had to go to the faculty room for work. Class 1A. All of the students were present and gossiping at each other about what happened to the USJ a couple of days ago. Meanwhile, Izuku was now in better shape, however. He can't take off his mind about something. Did I really kill that villain? I don't remember it at all. Izuku wondered to himself then, without warning. Aizawa entered their classroom. Morning, he greeted them. Good morning. The students greeted back. Then he went to his desk and faced them. Well, first of all, your fight isn't over yet. Aizawa told them. Everyone gasped at that. Hey, don't tell me. Villains again. Wrong. Aizawa said. Everyone sighed in relief. They all thought that they're gonna face some creepy villains again. UA Sports Festival is drawing near. He continued. Everyone gasped again, but this time, joy can be felt by each student's inside. All right, but wait a minute. Jairu suddenly spoke. Everyone turned to her. Is it okay to have an event like that after the villain attack? She asked. What if it was attacked again or something? Ojiro followed suit. Aizawa closed his eyes at that question, and then he opened it as if he had the answer for them. Apparently, this was to show that Udata disaster management is as solid as a rock. Besides, this is an event that can't be cancelled by just few villains. But the security was 5 times tighter than last year, so you don't need to worry about it, Aizawa told them. I see. This is a very important event for all aspiring heroes like you, because this will be your huge chance to be noticed by pro heroes. Since every heroes around the country will be watching this event, Aizawa continued. For scouting purpose, right? Momo said. Exactly. All right. I'm fired up. So, with that said, you can't afford to slack off on this important event. So you better prepare yourself and bring your A game on this one. Yes, sir. Homeroom is dismissed. Lunchtime. The excitement isn't dying down, Kirishima said. That's right. This is an event we can't miss. We better give everything we got. Rikadu agreed to him. What should I do? I'll stand out by just standing out there? The pro heroes may fight over me. Yuga asked them, but really, no one was actually listening to him at all. No fair. Shoji, your bronze were standing out already, Kaminari commented. The 6-armed guy nodded at that. Right, it would be useful for me. What about me, Ojiro-kun? Do you think I have a chance? Toru asked. Ojiro just laughed awkwardly at her. Who knows? But if you do your best, they may notice you right away, he replied to her. That's right. Amidst of all the excitement each student felt about the festival, Midoriya was deep in thought about something until Ida tapped him on his shoulder, snapping him out. Ida-kun. What's with that face, Midoriya? Don't tell me you're not excited about the festival, are you? He asked. Izuku shook his head. Oh, of course. I'm excited too. It's just that I have something to think about, Izuku said. Do you have a problem? You can tell me if you're comfortable enough, Ida said. I'm sorry, but it was personal problems, Izuku said. I understand, but if you ever change your mind, let us know and we'll help you in any way we can, Ida said. Izuku smiled at him. Thanks, Izuku-kun, Ida-kun. The two heard Uraraka said. They turned to her to see. Let's do our best together. She shouted with deep voice while raising her right fist up in the air. The two were actually stunned at her change of behavior.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, let's go to the cafeteria. I'm actually hungry, Izuku suggested. His two friends nodded and they went outside the room and went to the said place to eat. Cafeteria. But still, I heard that Aizawa-sensei managed to drive all the villains away. As expected of Pro Hero, they're really amazing, Uraraka said as Izuku and Ida were eating their food, but then she turned to Izuku and asked something. Come to think of it, Izuku-kun, what exactly happened to you back there? She asked. I mean, you were there as well, right? I still remember how you actually blasted that mist villain away and then you actually followed him. Did you help Aizawa-sensei after that? She asked. That's... Why, yeah, but I did almost nothing in there, actually. So, Izuku said uncertainly. Don't you say those things, Midoriya. Ida said. No matter how big or how small you did back there, you still managed to help Aizawa-sensei, and also thanks to you, we managed to escape unharmed, Ida continued. So that's why don't you dare say that you did nothing, actually. It was us who did nothing but to run away, Ida told him. And no, but actually, it was dangerous, so we have no choice but to evacuate at that time, and I heard that you managed to call for help, so you also did something back there, Izuku said. But still, well, it's all over now and we're safe, so it doesn't matter at this point, Uraraka said. That's right. And with that settled, the three continued their peaceful lunch. Later, afternoon classes was over and the students of Class 1A were ready to head home. But when Uraraka opened the door, she was greeted by the sight of many students, crowding in front of them. Some were holding a phone and taking pictures of them. What's going on here? She shouted. What business do you have with Class 1A? Ida asked them. We can't get out. Mineta complained, but then, before he do something stupid, Bakugo beat him to it and stepped in front of them. Scouting for an enemy? Small fry, he said. We're the ones who made it out from the villain's attack. They're checking us out before the festival, Bakugo continued. Izuku's sweat dropped at that. That's Kaken in neutral voice, he told Mineta. But that was pointless, Bakugo said as he was now in front of the crowd. Some students show fear due to his delinquent appearance and his face. Out of my way, extras, he growled at them. What? Hey, stop call them extras. Just because you don't know them, Ida warned him, but he was ignored. Just then, a new voice was heard from the crowd. I actually came to see what the famous Class 1A was like. But it seems that all of them were arrogant, a boy with a purple hair said. He was plowing through the crowd until he reached the front. He then faced Bakugo. I assume that everyone in the hero course was like this guy. Listen well, all the students here are from different course because they didn't make it into hero course. But the sports festival gave us a chance to be transfer over here. In other words, some of you maybe transfer out as well. Scouting an enemy, huh? Well, maybe you're right, but let me warn you, if you get too carried away, you might end up losing before you know it. With that, I came with a declaration of war. This person's bold too. All 1A students thought in unison. Bakugo's gaze didn't change as he glared at the purple-haired boy until, hey, huh? Izuku turned to see a white-haired boy with white outlines on his eyes, shouting something about, I'm from Class 1B. I came to see the Class 1A who fought villains. He shouted, and then, after he managed to take a good look at them, don't get too full of yourself. This person's bold too. Everyone thought in unison as well. Don't bark too much or it'll embarrass you during the real fight. He shouted, but at this point, Bakugo just went past him. Are you ignoring me? Hey Bakugo, what are you going to do about this? Kirishima yelled at him. The ash-blonde boy stopped for a moment. It's your fault that they're hating us now, he added. Bakugo's expression didn't change. It doesn't matter. He replied to him. It doesn't matter as long as you aim to the top, Bakugo said before walking away, leaving them in complete silence. Damn it, you bastard. It's so manly and simple at the same time, Kirishima said. Clenching his fist, Kaminari was shocked at his expression. You said it, Rikido followed. The top I guess he did have a point, Tokoyami agreed to them. Hey, don't you realize that he just made pointless enemies, Kaminari told them, but he was completely ignored as some of them went home. That's right. We'll be at disadvantage at the festival thanks to him, Mineta said. supporting Kaminari's statement, and just like Kaminari, he too was ignored. The top, huh? Izuku repeated. Dagoba Municipal Beach Park. That's right, Izuku said, clenching his fist. He actually went back here before going straight home. This place gives him an opportunity to become stronger, and also, this place served as a stepping stone for him to achieve his dream to become a hero. I must control my own power if I'm going to aim at the top, he said as he went home. His mom was worried at him for sure. The sports festival will begin in 2 weeks, so everyone is doing their best to train and condition their mind and body for the upcoming event. And since it was being broadcast on TV as well, it's not just the pro heroes, but everyone in the whole country was going to witness our performance. And then, time passed on a blink of an eye, and the morning of the sports festival arrived. Chapter 10, UA Sports Festival. Outside the gigantic stadium owned by UE, several booths were set up and many vendors used this chance to sell their product. And at the same time, heroes were gathered to witness the performance of young heroes that will start shortly. And among those heroes were Death Arms, Kamui Woods, and MT Lady. But unfortunately, darn it, why are we the ones that was assigned on guard duty? Death Arms complain as the 3 pro heroes patrol the perimeter. It can't be helped. Kamui Woods answered him. Well, they could hired someone. Now we're going to miss the festival. We can just watch from the large screen while patrolling, you know. But Dash, we can't do anything at this point, so might as well accept the duty, Kamui Woods told him, not expecting him to complain even further. Ugh. Class 1A waiting room. All of the Class 1A were preparing themselves for the first event they're going to partake. Man, I can't believe we can't wear our costume during the festival, Ashido complained to them. It's for the sake of fairness towards the other courses. So we're just going to wear our Pidadi uniforms, Ojiro replied to her. Geez, as the other students of 1A were chatting to each other, Todoroki surprisingly went to Midoriya, causing a bit of tension rose, and the other students look at their direction. Why, you need something, Todoroki-kun? The boy asked. Midoriya, in this festival, I will beat you, he declared to him, causing everyone to gasp. Did Todoroki just challenge Midoriya? Why yeah, he just did. Bakugo looked at the two and narrowed his eyes. Where did that come from? Midoriya asked. Your quirk is just like my dual one. So in order to prove my strength to my stupid old man that I'll win the festival using only my right side, I will beat anyone who will get in my way, and that includes you, he told him. Midoriya looked at him intently. It seems that there's no backing down on this. If Todoroki told him that he will beat him in the festival, then he won't run from the challenge. In that case, I won't lose to you either. Hey! Pay attention, audience. The large screen on the stadium show present Mike, and everyone inside is cheering at him. Swarm mass media. Then, above the stadium show, several cameras and other equipment related to media coverage, and the reporters themselves were present. This year's high school rodeo of adolescence you all love so much, the UA Sports Festival. Are you all ready? The crowd roar in excitement, indicating that they are very excited indeed. Okay then. It's time for the first-year students to appear. Then from the main entrance of the stadium came Midoriya and the other students from Class 1A. They're the first one to appear as a very loud cheer greeted them, being the hot topic thanks to the USJ incident that happened recently. These young fledglings sharpen their swords each year. The first ones was the miraculous new stars that overcome the enemy attacks with the heart of steel. From Hero Course, Class 1, Midoriya look around and find that the people gathered in order to watch was astonishingly many. It made his heart beat fast. So many of them. Uraraka muttered. Whoa, so many people. I'm getting nervous here. How about you, Bakugo? Kirishima asked. No, I'm getting more of it, he replied to him while grinning. Next group to appear was the Class 1B from Hero Course as well, and then it was followed by the other first years from other courses, Class 1C, 1D, 1E from General Studies course, Class 1F, 1G, 1H from Support course, and Class 1I, 1J, 1K from Business course. And then after all of the first years have gathered on the center, Midnight then announced that someone must do the player pledge, and so she called Bakugo from Class 1A. See crap, Bakugo will do the pledge. I won't expect anything good will come out from his mouth. Dude, Kaminari spoke, and sadly to say, everyone has the same opinion as him. Midoriya watched as his childhood friend slowly approaching the podium, and then after Bakugo reached the microphone, the entire Class 1A braced themselves. I'll swear. Bakugo started causing some tensions. That I will be the number one, he finished. Just as we thought. Class 1A yelled in unison. Boo! Don't get too cocky, 1A. Get lost. Then another shocker came as Bakugo turned to them and, all of you here are just nothing but a stepping stone for me. Then he made a thumbs down sign, causing more angry comments and curses to Rose. How overconfident you can be. I'll crush you. Tetsu spat with pure rage, but the explosion boy just ignored it and then he went down to the podium and returned to his class. Overconfident. No, he's not. Kaken was driving himself into corner. Midoriya thought as Bakugo went past him. But getting us caught up in it is more likely him, I guess. Well then, let's begin the first part of the festival. Midnight attempt to cool the heads of the students after that pledge, and then a virtual screen appear behind her and calling a random game. This year's first game was. Then the random lottery ended and it chose the box with words obstacle race on it. Ha! Obstacle race? All 11 classes were going to gather at the starting point, and then you will race at the outside of the stadium, which is 4 kilometers long, and it's located at the outer circumference of the place. The first game selling point is freedom, so that means anything you do is okay as long as you stay in the track. Now then, everyone get in the starting line. With that, everyone went on the giant door with red outline on it. They gathered there and wait for the go signal. Ready. Everyone's gaze was now focused on the exit. Start. Then everyone ran. Oh, it has begun. Are you ready to become a commentator? Eraserhead. Present Mike asked him. You're the one who forced me here. You already know that I hate doing stuff like this, Aizawa told him. Well, what can we expect on the start of the race? Present Mike ignored his rant. Asterisk grunt asterisk well. The starting line itself is already the first obstacle, if I must say. Aizawa replied to them. Wah! It's too narrow. Move it. Don't push. All the first-year students were struggling to get to the exit due to the place getting narrower as they went near it. However, Midoriya was the first to react on this ordeal, and here I go. Utilizing airbending on his feet, Midoriya propelled himself upward in order to fly and escape the crowd, and then while suspended on the air, he used the same method to shot himself forward, allowing him to reach the exit first. Wah! Dash. Damn it. Midoriya's already kicking. I won't lose. DKU. After Midoriya went outside, he was quickly followed by Todoroki, who used his ice quirk to freeze the entire ground and allowing him to slide around and put the others stuck. Bakugo with his palms ignited with his tiny explosions. Avoid Todoroki's freezing attack and get out too. Momo used her self-construct long rod to give herself a boost, and Yuga used his naval laser to propel himself forward. As for the others, mostly all 1A students were outside and some of the other students from other classes as well. The others were not so lucky as they were completely stuck on the ice and it will take some time for them to get out. Midoriya was using airbending to seemingly jump on the air several times until DKU. Midoriya turned around to see Bakugo was closing into him with his palms exploding each second. The black-haired boy then increased his pace, creating more distance from the short-tempered explosive user. You won't get away. Bakugo also increased his own pace as well to catch up. But then just before he managed to reach Midoriya, a very loud thud was heard around. Stomp. Target confirmed. Lots of them. Several one-pointer and two-pointer robots appeared in front of them, and there's so many of them. Midoriya was forced to land, and so is Bakugo as they look behind the group of medium-sized robots. It was those giant zero-pointer gimmick robots, and there's 6 of them. Hey, isn't this dangerous? Those are the zero-point robots that can smash buildings with ease. I wonder how much money they invest on those robots? Momo asked, particularly no one. Well, it seems that all of the students managed to reach the very first obstacle of this race. The Robo Inferno. Present Mike announced, and as a respond, the audience cheered as they await for this kind of event to appear. Well then, how are they going to overcome the first challenge? Let's find out. If they're going with this type of obstacles, I wish they put up more effort onto it. Todoroki then placed his right palm on the ground, and then the soil around him was encased with ice. Then it was growing wider as it covers more area. Since my old man's watching, then one of the zero-point gimmick attempt to smash him, but Todoroki won't let it as he threw his right hand, and then in a split second, he frees the entire zero-point robot by blowing an ultra-cold wind from his right palm. Humph! Then Todoroki proceeded to ran. Seeing this, everyone tried to follow him, but I wouldn't if I were you. I froze them when they're unbalanced, the dual-quirked individual warned them. Then just as he said that, the ice that was encasing the zero-point robot cracked, and then it slowly fell onto them with a loud thud, creating a cloud of dust around. They'll fall. The first student that get past the first obstacle was Class 1A Todoroki Shoto, present Mike announce. As expected on the students that got to the academy through recommendation, he added. Hey, someone was underneath the robot. Well, someone's gonna die at the festival? One of the students asked. With that, everyone was a bit panicking, and then out of the blue, the fallen robot were having a dent on the center, and anyone can hear a thumping sound from within until it became a hole and someone emerge on it. Like I will, Kirishima yelled. Class 1A Kirishima was underneath the robot, present Mike announce, seemingly stunned. If it was another person, it'll be dead, he added. Then just beside him, another thumping sound can be heard, and then a hole was created and someone emerged as well, just like Kirishima. Class 1A is really filled with bastards, Tetsu yelled. Class 1B Tetsu was also underneath. Then the two redundant quirk users ran towards the next course, with Kirishima wailing and complaining about someone with almost the same abilities like him. Amidst on the commotion, Midoriya was just taking it easy and watched the movements of the robots. There's no need to rush, and the festival was just getting started anyway. Okay. The robots were going to lock on their target within their sight one at a time, so Midoriya thought. Then some students took action as well. Bakugo used the explosion on his palms to propel himself upwards. A 0-point robot tried to grab him, but it failed since Bakugo was using explosions to maneuver his body on the air intelligently, and so he too managed to clear the horde of robots. Class 1A Bakugo, since the bottom's blocked, he goes overhead. Clever. You're not the only one who can get his way above, Zero yelled as he used his tape-like material on his elbows and used it as a rope in order to get across the robots as well. Then he was followed by Tokoyami, who utilized his dark shadow quirk to get on the top as well, and so the three went past the first obstacle and continued their way on the second one. At the teachers' seats, All Might and the other faculty members were already expecting that the first students that will pass through the obstacle were Class 1A. As expected, the first class that can get passed through were the Class 1A. One of them commented, "Yeah, but the other courses aren't bad either. It's just, at the commentator box, Class 1A doesn't have any time to sit around either." Aizawa seemingly continue as the screen shows that the majority of Class 1A were already overcome the first obstacle. Jiro used her earlobes to short-circuit a couple of them. Uraraka used her zero gravity to make them float and unable to reach her. Kaminari used his electricity to short-circuit it just like Jiro's method. And Ojiro used his strong tail to smash some of them. Midoriya then make his move too as he ran. Then, as he predicted, one of the robots were going to lock on him, but he simply used a new type of bending he was working on. The metal bending. By swaying his left hand to the side, the robot that was locked onto him was forced to move to the left side sharply and hit the other one, causing a domino effect, and some robots fell down as well. I wouldn't want to use other bending arts on the first game, but then Midoriya faced the 0-point gimmicks only to be taken down by Momo's self-create cannon. Boom. Then several 0-point robots were going down at the shot of her cannon each. Then another one was taken down until all of the robots were gone. Piece of cake, Momo replied as she ran, leaving the cannon behind. She took down those giant robots by herself. No wonder she got in through recommendation, Midoriya thought as he continued running. Soon, everyone was running and proceeding to the second obstacle now that the robots were gone. Oh, it seems that the first obstacle was too easy. Then how about the second one? Present Mike announced as almost everyone reached the place where the second obstacle was placed. It was a very wide pit with several platforms made out of pillar-shaped ground. Then wires were placed randomly on the pillars for the students to cling on. If you lose your balance, you'll fall. So if you don't want to fall, you have to crawl. The fall. What the heck? Uraraka exclaimed as she and the other students was shocked. Just how much money they have spent here, from the robots and the other obstacles. This really cost them fortune. Footsteps. Everyone turned to Midoriya's direction. It seems that he was ready to face the second challenge. Then, he motioned his hands in punching position, and then to everyone's surprise, a pillar of ground appeared horizontally from them, and then it happened the same over and over again on the vertical pillars until he managed to create a makeshift bridge, and then he simply crossed through it, ignoring the fact that he just make the other students a path too. Wow, he just literally make a bridge using earth. What kind of quirk he just had? Who cares? He did us a huge favor, so let's go. Then everyone crossed Midoriya's makeshift bridge with ease. Whoa, did you see that? The kid used his earth quirk to manipulate the ground into a bridge. That's cool. Yeah, and the way he do it was awesome too.
İyi wonder.
But wait a minute. At the start of the race, I saw that kid using air on his feet to fly. Does that mean he has a dual quirk too? At the audience side, everyone was astonished at how Midoriya can use two elements and deduced that if he had more than one quirk, he would be as strong as the first kid that uses fire and ice. At the third and last obstacle, Todoroki arrived first, and then he found out that there are mines everywhere, and it seems that it was planted at the way everyone can see where they are buried. Well then, we arrive at the last obstacle of the race, and Todoroki of Class 1A was leading, but the screen was focused on the entire running ground that was rigged full of mines. Can he face this without any hitch? Let's find out, shall we? Then Todoroki took his first step, planting his feet on the gaps between the mines, but as he was reaching the quarter of the minefield, he realized that the gaps were getting smaller and thus, it became very hard to step on it. TCH, he then suddenly heard some small-scale explosion behind him, turning around only to find some students were already there and some were being blown away by the mines. It didn't kill them, but it was slowing them down for sure. These minefield are nothing. Todoroki suddenly heard Bakugo yelled, and then it was followed by an explosion. He turned around again to see the ash-blonde boy manage to catch up with him. Don't declare war on the wrong person, he yelled as he attempted to blow Todoroki's face, but he avoided and then freeze his arm, on which Bakugo shrugged it off like nothing. Yeah! The audience cheered as someone finally managed to overthrow the first-place holder. It's a kind of development they're waiting for. Alright, looks like someone managed to catch up. This will spice up the game for sure, President Mike yelled through the microphone. Midoriya then looked around to see every student was struggling to get past the third and last obstacle. However, he had a different plan on this one. Let's see how this one will work on my favor. Then he motioned his arms upward, and then a circular platform made of earth was raised with him on the center. Then he quickly swayed his arms back and forth like a pendulum, his left arm on the back while his right arm on the front, and then vice versa. And as he do that, the platform he was stepping on was moving forward for him and gaining speed. It hit some mines, but that didn't slow him down. What? Move it! The other students was forced to move out of the way as Midoriya was plowing through the minefield effortlessly using this method. Todoroki and Bakugo, the two leading students, was slowly hearing a rumble behind them. Normally they'll just ignore it, but this rumble was becoming more and more closer to them. Then when the two finally turned to see what is that, they were stunned to see Midoriya was on the platform made out of earth and it was moving really fast. It triggered some mines to explode, but that didn't slow him down as he continued all the way to their position. What? The two was forced to move away from each other, and this gave Midoriya the way to reach the finish line of the minefield in a very easy way. Jumping off it, he continued to ran all the way through the end. Damn it! DKU. Bakugo was forced to use his explosion into maximum power to catch up to him, while Todoroki was forced to freeze the minefield in order to create a path for him and, unfortunately, for the others too. And Midoriya turned the tables around using that unique mode of transportation. President Mike yelled as he watched Midoriya secure the first place to himself. Aizawa looked at Midoriya and the way he used his quirk. It was very creative and resourceful at the same time. The first game of a sports festival. Who would have thought about this shocker? Midoriya, Todoroki, and Bakugo were running towards the finish line. The latter two was still trying to get past the former, but given the wide gap between the first and the second place, it was impossible. The first one who reached the stadium was that man. Then Midoriya was the first one to arrive while slightly panting. The audience cheered at him. Midoriya Izuku. The crowd roared in excitement. This was the very feeling they have been looking for each year. Then shortly after Midoriya reached the finish line, Todoroki was the next one who reached it, and then followed by Bakugo, who was seething with rage at the fact that he was at third place. Todoroki looked at Midoriya for just a couple of seconds and then he walked away, and soon several students were starting to arrive. Some were disappointed and others were just okay with it. It was just the first part of the game anyway, no need to get too hype about it. Izuku-kun. Midoriya turned to Uraraka, who was approaching him. That's amazing. How did you do that? She asked him. He just laughed at that question. Damn it. I can't believe I lost even with this quirk of mine. He heard Ida complain. Then after some time, everyone has been gathered and then they were arranged on the middle of the stadium while Midnight announced their standings during the first game. Okay, here are your standings on the first game. Take a look for yourselves, she yelled, and then a screen appeared behind her that shows them the results. First, Midoriya Izuku. Second, Todoroki Shoto. Third, Bakugo Katsuki. Fourth, Ibara Shiozaki. Fifth, Juzo Hananuki.
Enam teha, tanya Ida.
Seventh, Tokoyami Fumikage. Eighth, Shiro Hanta. Ninth, Kirishima Ijiro.
1-0 til høyre. Tetsu Tetsu Tetsu Tetsu.
And I won't continue this, it's too long and the ranks were just the same anyway, so just look on the anime/manga for reference. If you really want to know their place, that is. Well then, let's get to the second game of this festival. Midnight announced, and then from behind her, a random game was being selected, and it stopped on a box with words Cavalry Battle on it. Everyone look at it with different opinions on the said game. See Cavalry Battle? I'm bad at those, Kaminari complain. It's not an individual game, so I wonder how will it work? So you asked. Let me explain. In this game, you have to form a team consist of 2 to 4 students. It's just the same as a normal cavalry game, but depend on you standing on the first game. Each person on the group will be assigned a point value. Midnight continue explaining. It's just like on the entrance exam. In other words, each group will have a no of total points that was depend on its members' assigned points. That's right. And these are the assigned points for each of you. Midnight announced. Then from the screen behind her was the list of all first-year students with their assigned points based on their rank on the first game. The lowest was 5 points, then 10 points, 15 points, 20 points, and so on. Then the point that was assigned on the first place was 10 million. Midnight announced to them. Silence covered the whole stadium after hearing that. Midoriya was now sweating really hard at that revelation. 10 million, huh? In other words, if you manage to take down the first placer, you'll stand at the top no matter what place you are. Everyone gaze at Midoriya and proceed to mark him as their main target for the second game. Exactly. It's the survival of the fittest, where those on the bottom will have a chance to overthrow the one at the top. At this point, Midoriya has only one thought. This will be a very big challenge for him. Chapter 11, Human Cavalry Battle. Choosing a teammate was really hard on his status as first place, and there's 2 reasons for that. The first one is, you are the main target for your enemies, and second, they don't want to be the one being chased all the time, since being with the first place, which is Midoriya, means that you should be prepared to ran all your might, since almost everyone will be after your points. Asterisk sigh asterisk, how come no one wants to team up with me? Is it because of my points? The boy thought as he was still struggling to choose his teammate. But then,
Zeus minus Luj.
The troubled boy turned to Uraraka, who just called his name. Uraraka-san, can we team up? She asked him. Really? Midoriya was overjoyed at that. Now he has at least one teammate on his group. Sure. I would love to. Me too. Midoriya and Uraraka turned to see a pink-haired girl wearing goggles and wearing some backpack and other equipment on her body. If you don't mind, that is... She continued. Who are you? Oh, where are my manners? My name's May. May Hatsum, and I'm from the support course. The girl named May introduced herself to them. I see, well... Sure, I don't see why not, Midoriya said. Well, teaming up with another students outside your class wasn't a bad idea either, and who was he to refuse anyway when a potential member was already going after you? Okay, then I guess we're 1 member short, May said. That's right. You have any idea who will be our last member? Uraraka asked him. Midoriya gave it a thought about it, and then, I have. Then he went to that person. Okay, it seems that everyone has now a team. Midnight exclaimed. After 15 minutes of allotted time to choose their members, the audience can now see that all of the first-year students were now divided into groups with either 3 of 4 members. Well, let the second game begin. And as Midoriya predicted, every eyes of the students were at them. But the green-haired boy won't just let them easily take his 10 million points. If they want it, they have to work hard for it. Really hard. Here they come! The last person of their group exclaimed as he released his dark shadow. I'm counting to you. Tokoyami-kun, Uraraka-san, and Hatsum-san. Midoriya said. Okay, leave it to me. Yeah. Then everyone charged towards them, and the first student to use his quirk was from the guy named Juzo Hananuki of Class 1B. Using his softness quirk, he easily made the ground where Midoriya and his team were standing very soft, therefore making it very difficult for the team to stay still. Midoriya! Tokoyami exclaimed to him. Hatsum-san, now! The green-haired boy exclaimed. Okay! Then May took out a button and then pushes it. Then from the backpack Midoriya was wearing, a powerful thrusters was ejected on the bottom of the backpack and propelled them high in the sky, with them being affected by Uraraka's quirk, escaping their pursuers for the time being. TCH, now's my chance, Midoriya then clenched his fists, and then he sharply raised them and, whoa, what's happening? A pillar of earth emerged on the stadium, and then Midoriya's team landed there. It was so high up that no one can reach them at all. I see. So you're going to expire the time limit with this. Tokoyami deduced. Yeah, but there are others whose quirk can reach us, so we still can't let our guard down yet, Midoriya added. Yeah, oh hell yeah. Team Midoriya was going to expire to them limit, huh? Well, they're considered as the winners already, but he had to hold out until then. Present Mike announced, Aizawa, just look at the pillar of earth Midoriya created. It seems that his quirk was quite useful in many ways, and not just that, it seems that Midoriya isn't showing any drawback at all. This kid. Todoroki clicked his tongue at that, so that's how he want to play, huh? Well, in that case, we're going after them. He told his team, which consists of Kaminari, Momo, and Ida. Yeah. Then Todoroki used his ice quirk and create a giant pillar of ice in diagonal formation that matched the height of Midoriya's pillar of earth. Team Midoriya gasped at the appearance of it. Here they come, Tokoyami said. Yeah. Then Ida used his quirk engine to give them a boost, and then Team Todoroki slid on the ice, and then they managed to reach Midoriya and his group. Todoroki-kun, Midoriya, you won't escape that easily. Both teams were on the pillar of earth, ready to face off each other, while below was the remaining teams fighting for points. Kaminari, Yaoyorozu, okay. Then from Momo's right arm, a steel rod emerged and connected itself on the ground, and then from her stomach came a large cloth that was completely insulated, which can protect the entire team from any electric attacks. Okay, here I go. Indiscriminate shock. 1.3 million volts. Then Kaminari let loose a powerful yellow electric attack that scattered everywhere. This will to ensure that Midoriya and his team were to take the hit and stop them from moving. Tokoyami-kun, leave this to me for a while, Midoriya said, and then without waiting for any confirmation, he crossed his arms and then, boom, an explosion occurred at the top of the earth pillar Midoriya created. Everyone on below gasped at that and temporarily stopped fighting for the points. TCH, DD damn it. Bakugo hissed, even he can't do anything on the situation. Right now he really want to take the 10 million points, but it's above there, and there's no way he and his team can reach it, so they have no choice but to settle on the points below. Did we get them? Todoroki asked as he was waiting for the smoke to subside until a stream of flames emerged from the smoke. Team Todoroki gasped at that. Kaminari, I'm on it. Then the electric user released another bolt of electricity to counter the flames. The insulated cloth was still wrapped on the three, and luckily it canceled both attacks. The smoke then subsided to see a bunker made out of earth, and there's a rectangular hole on the front. What is that? Momo asked. Then from the rectangular hole, another stream of flames emerged, and it was aimed to them, and this time Todoroki ordered them to dodge it. Fire, huh? My ice was complete useless against it. I'll just use dash. Then Todoroki shook his head. There's no way he'll use his left side. Not in this place where his father was watching. Damn it. Midoriya really think things through, and with that weird quirk of his that can control 4 elements, he can came up with a lot of strategies that suits their situation, Ida said, frustrated at that fact. But they can't just hide there. Not if I have to say anything about it, Todoroki said as he used his ice quirk to cover the earth bunker hole. Let's see if they can endure getting trapped inside of it. Then to their surprise, the ice that was covering them was slowly melting, and then Todoroki was about to freeze them again when suddenly Ida realized something. Todoroki, we have to dash. Too late. The ice that was covering the bunker had melted and it transformed into water, which is now floating in the air, just on the top of the bunker. I forgot to tell you guys that Midoriya can manipulate water as well, he shouted. What? Then the earth bunker was shattered to reveal Team Midoriya. The green-haired boy was currently swaying both his hands. Tokoyami was in front of them as well as his dark shadow with their guard up, Uraraka and Meisai in relief as they finally released on the bunker. Finally, we're out, Uraraka said. Yeah. I hate dark places. Tokoyami-kun, how's your dark shadow? Midoriya asked his bird-like comrade. It's okay now, thanks to the darkness on your bunker. Its power was temporarily replenished. We can now go on offensive for a while, he replied. Aye, his dark shadow agreed. Then, let's get started, Midoriya said, and then he used the water he got from Todoroki's ice, encasing it on both of his arms to form a whip. Here we go, Suburaba, Nito shouted. The brown-haired boy quickly reacted, seeing the explosive user was on them. After stealing some headbands including Bakugo's, the explosive user was enraged and so he gave pursuit to them. On it! Then he blew air from his mouth that solidified into a circular glass-like platform. making Bakugo landed face first on it. Serves you right. Then as Team Monoma was about to leave him, Bakugo used his sheer strength to shatter the solidified air and managed to steal a couple of headbands from them. You won't get away. TCH. Team Monoma was forced to retreat from Bakugo, who also retreated back to his team thanks to Ciro's tape catching him along with 2 of the headbands. Bakugo was starting to heat up. Only a minute left till the round was over. Present Mike announced, causing more cheers erupted from the crowd. I'm not done yet, Bakugo shouted. Nito looked behind to see Team Bakugo was closing in to them. They're on to us. Hurry up, Monoma shouted. His teammates nodded at that as they increased their pace. However, it was never enough. Time to get some real points. Then after that, the 10 million point headband was next. Bakugo shouted. His speech actually encourages Kirishima, Ciro, and Ishido as they all grin. Flat face. Tape, Bakugo ordered. Ciro grunted after being called by that, but he obeyed him nevertheless. My name's Ciro. Ciro then launched a long tape from his elbows. It passed Team Monoma, who all smirk. You miss, Nito taunted. Raccoon eyes. Acid on the direction we're going. Bakugo yelled next. Ishido grunted just like Ciro. It's Ishido Mina. Then the pink-skinned woman splatters some acid in front of them. Teacher's seat. Young Bakugo, you exactly knew what you have to do, right? All Might said, realizing what he intended to accomplish. Commentator's seat. This is the difference between on those who was aiming on the top and those who didn't. Now you do realized it, Aizawa said as he watched Bakugo ignited his palms with his tiny explosions and propel them in incredible speed, thanks to Ciro's tape pulling them while having a very low friction on the ground thanks to Ishido's acid. Team Monoma looked at them with shock faces. Tsuburaba tried to defend using his solid air quirk, but it was completely useless as Bakugo used his explosion along with the immense momentum they gained on the way to completely break it and grab the headband on Nito's neck. Bakugo was merciless. Present Mike shouted as the crowd roars on excitement. This will put them in 3rd place. He continued, and then an explosion occurred at the top of the pillar, where Team Midoriya and Team Todoroki was. I can't believe it. Momo was shocked at the power of Midoriya's quirk. The water that was on his arms were whipping them like a slave and keeping them away, and not only that, he's using other elements like fire and air from his mouth. Nice, Midoriya, Tokoyami said. His dark shadow was still on guard. Even though Midoriya was holding them off, he was still being vigilante in case some sneak attacks that might come from them. We can win this, Uraraka said. My babies weren't having much use here. But oh well, Mei said. Damn it, Todoroki cursed. They still wouldn't able to grab the 10 million points from them. He grit his teeth even more when, okay, time's up. The second game was over. Every participant was forced to stop chasing each other after hearing that announcement. Then without further ado, Midoriya then motioned his arms downward and the earth pillar shrunk down and the stadium was returned to normal. Yes, Midoriya exclaimed. Okay, let's announce the top 4 teams that will advance on the 3rd game, Present Mike said as he looked at them. 1st place, Team Midoriya. The members cheered at that. Tokoyami smirked while crossing his arms. Uraraka jumped on joy while Mei just smiled while fixing the boosters Midoriya used for any damages. 2nd place, Team Bakugo. Damn it, Bakugo shouted. He didn't want this, he want the 1st place and Deku has it. It was frustrating for him. Well, at least we're qualified for the next game, right? Ishido said. Yeah, right, I won't accept this, Bakugo shouted. His teammates could only sigh at his temper. 3rd place, Team Todoroki. Ida, Momo, and Kaminari was unfortunate that they didn't manage to get the highest points, but nevertheless, they were happy that they're qualified on the next round. As for Todoroki, Midoriya can use all 4 elements on his heart's content. It's no wonder I can't counter his attacks and we lost. As for me, Todoroki clenched his left fist. No, he'll stick on his words, he will not use his left side. Never. 4th place, Team Tetsutet. Wait, it's Team Shinso. How did that happen? Shinso just smirked and then he left, leaving a confused Ojiro and a frustrated Team Tetsutetsu. How come we got 0 points? Tetsutetsu yelled at his teammates. This members didn't answer for they didn't know what to say as well. It also happened too fast. Is this the punishment for us by stealing points from those guys? Ibara asked herself as she remembered the time when she silently stole the headband of Team Mineta. Break time. Damn it. I can't even do anything against you guys, Ida said. all of the students were outside the stadium as they were given a 1-hour break. Midoriya just smiled at them. Don't worry, Ida-kun. Both our teams did well and were qualified, so I know that. But I can't help but to be frustrated to myself, Ida said. Well, there's the third game, and if we face against each other, I'll be sure to give everything I've got, right? Midoriya said, trying to cheer him up. Yeah, but despite seeing it several times, I can't help but to be impressed at that, Midoriya-san. I mean, you can practically use 4 elements, and it seems that it shows no drawback to you, Momo said. Oh, that... Well, you're right, but it has one major weakness, and it's the environment itself, Midoriya said. Environment? Ida questioned. Oh, you mean you can only control element that was present around you, right? Momo asked. Yeah, that's right. That's why I mostly use fire and air. Fire because heat was always present due to the sun, and air because of the oxygen around, unlike water and earth. I see. That makes a lot of sense. Good. Now let's go grab something to eat. I'm hungry, Momo told his friends. Everyone nodded at that. Chapter 12, One-Sided Fights. 1 hour after the human cavalry battle, all of the UA students were gathered on the center of the stadium. The audience were back from their break as well. Pro Hero Midnight was on the stage too, ready to announce the third and final part of the festival, the one-on-one tournament battle, and explain its rules. But before that, okay, before we continue to our main event, we're going to conduct a recreation game first. She told everyone. Our recreation game? Correct. This is just an optional event, so it's up to the students if they want to participate on this one or not. The only purpose of this game is to give time for the 16 contenders to think about the strategies that they're going to employ during their one-on-one match. Midnight explained them the purpose of the game. Everyone nodded in understanding. But first of all, we're going to decide the matchup through a draw before we proceed to the game. And with that said, then Midnight randomly picked the names from the draw box she's holding. Then after a minute of drawing names, the matchup was finally decided, and the result is, Everyone gasped at that voice and turned to the source of it, which happened to be Ojiro. His right hand was raised. Yes, Midnight asked. I would like to resign on the tournament, he told her, shocking everyone present in the stadium. Ojiro? Why? I don't think I have what it takes to participate, so... He reasoned. I would like to retire as well. Another new voice was heard, and it's a guy named Shota Nirenjiki. Midnight pondered for a moment, and then she looked at the two with a smile. Well, if that's what you two decided, then there's no point of stopping you. Therefore, Masahiro Ojiro and Shota Nirenjiki are out of the competition, she told them. Many were saddened at the sudden withdrawal of the two, but nevertheless, they just nodded, showing respect on the decision they both made. And since two have resigned, we're going to pick another 2 participants from the team next to the 4th placer, Midnight announced. After Ojiro and Nirenjiki's withdrawal, Midnight finally picked another 2 participants for the final event, and they are Shiozaki Ibara. Tetsu. Okay, now that I've picked 2 students that will replace Ojiro and Nirenjiki, we will now resume the matchup for the battle. Then, after another minute of drawing names, the matchup has finally been decided. And they are Izuku versus Shinso, Shiro versus Todoroki, Ibara versus Kaminari, Ida versus Hatsum,
Ashido versus Hyuga,
Momo versus Tokoyami, Tetsu versus Kirishima, Bakugo versus Uraraka. Izuku looked at his opponent, the purple-haired guy who inspect and berate them the day before the festival. Hitoshi Shinso, I wonder what type of quirk he had? Midoriya, the said boy raised an eyebrow and turned to see Ojiro with a serious look on his face. Izuku lightly gasped. This is the first time he saw him this serious. Ojiro, what is it? He asked him. There's something I would like to tell you, and this is connected on the reason I withdraw on the event, Ojiro said. Uraraka swallowed hard. Her opponent was Katsuka Bakugo, Izuku's childhood friend and the one with a very short temper, so she will have a very hard time dealing with him. And at the same time, his explosion quirk was something that was very versatile in many ways, especially in combat. And thanks to those aspects, Uraraka immediately realized it. I'm in a complete disadvantage here. This is bad. I should think a strategy to beat him or else. She thought, okay, now that the matchup has been decided, let's begin the recreation game. Shall we? Midnight said, and then the participants step right up and proceed to play the game, and at the same time, Cementos was using his quirk to construct the arena that the finalist was going to use as a battlefield, And then while that's happening, the students who decided that they're not on mood to play went on either outside the stadium or waiting room in order to clear their minds as well as to think and come up with their own strategies during the battle. And in one of the rooms was Midoriya and Ojiro talking about something. "So, what's your reason you withdraw from the match?" he asked the tailed guy. He bowed his head a little. "You see, this Hitoshi Shinzo you're going to face. There's something about him that was disturbing me," Ojiro said. "And what is it?" That's flashback. Ojiro and the other students were now looking for their possible teammates for the cavalry battle, and then someone approached him. It was Shinzo. "Hey, Tailman," he told him. "What do you dash?" Then Ojiro's vision suddenly became blank. After cavalry battle. Ojiro looked around to see that the cavalry battle was over already, on which is completely strange for him since he was still looking for teammates moments ago. Then before he could wonder even more, he heard a voice. "Thanks for your hard work." Ojiro turned to see Shinzo holding some headbands on his hands. Walking away while smiling, he narrowed his eyes at him. Did he do something to him? Flashback ends. And that's what happened. As I told you earlier, everything was all over before I noticed it. He finished his story. "You mean?" "I'm not sure, but there's something I must tell you about him." Midoriya didn't bother to talk and just listened to him. "Whatever you do, don't talk back to him in any way, you understand?" Ojiro said. "Why? I don't know. But it all started after I did talk back to him. So you mustn't talk back to him even if he's taunting you. Got it?" Ojiro insists to him. "Okay, I understand. Thanks for the warning," Izuku said. Ojiro nodded at that. "I'll be watching you." "Thanks, Ojiro." Few hours later, the recreation game has reached its end. The students that participate did enjoy the game, while for those who didn't participate, hopefully they managed to come up with their own tactics that they're going to use during the fight. And so, with the game behind them and the arena was done, Midnight took her position on the middle side of the arena as a referee. "Okay, let's begin the 1-1-1 tournament battle. The first contender is..." Present Mike announced, and then on his left side, Midoriya came out. His face shows a neutral expression, indicating that he's completely calm and collected. From Hero Course Class 1A, Midoriya Izuku. The crowd roared in excitement as Izuku reached the arena and take his position. Then on the other side of the arena came a purple-haired guy walking towards the arena with stoic look on his face. And his opponent, from General Studies Course Class 1C, Hitoshi Shinzo. Then the purple-haired guy also reached the arena and looked straight at Izuku. The excitement wasn't dying down even a little bit. Midnight then raised the flag she's holding. "Are both of you ready?" she asked them. Izuku and Shinzo nodded. "Then, begin." The first fight has begun, and to everyone's surprise, neither of them wasn't moving an inch. This caused the crowd's excitement to slowly die down as the time passed. "Hey, why don't you just back off, peasant? It might save you from humiliation," Shinzo suddenly told him. Izuku remembered Ojiro's words and didn't say anything. Shinzo internally grunted that, and then not wanting to prolong the fight any further, Izuku harshly stomped his right foot, and then a cement block appeared diagonally in front of Shinzo from the arena, pushing him away for good and sending him flying. "What?" Izuku stayed true to his words and didn't say anything as he watched the purple-haired guy was sent immediately outside the arena, hitting his back on the grassy ground with a loud thud. "Gah!" Shinzo was shocked at that. What the heck just happened to him? Meanwhile, the crowd became completely silent at the one-sided fight they witnessed, but nevertheless they were impressed at Izuku's performance. Then Midnight announced the result. "Shinzo was out of bounds. Midoriya wins," she announced. Then from the crowd came a loud round of applause after seeing the fight. It's not something that makes your nerves go wild due to the excitement, but it was still great. And besides, this is only the first round, so there will be more battles that will give the crowd the excitement they're looking for. Then after that, Izuku went to Shinzo, who's rubbing his back due to the pain he felt from falling hard. The purple-haired guy turned to the green-haired boy with the same stoic look. "What?" he asked him. "Ojiro told me something about your quirk," Midoriya said. Shinzo didn't reply to that, and then he suddenly turned his back to him. It appears that the purple-haired guy wasn't in mood to talk to someone who just defeat him with a single attack. Izuku could only watch as he disappeared on the exit, and then after that, he too walked back to the other side of the stadium to exit the arena and reunite with his friends. "That was awesome, dude," Kirishima yelled at him. Midoriya simply nodded at that. To tell them the truth, he isn't really happy about his victory against Shinzo. "Is that so?" he said as he took his seat between Uraraka and Ida. Everyone noticed Midoriya's sorrow look. "Is there something wrong, Izuku-kun?" Uraraka asked him. The green-haired boy turned to him and smiled. "Nothing, it's just that guy." I sense that he's actually depressed about something, he told her. "Really? Maybe." Then Izuku focused on the next fight. Uraraka want to know more, but the look on his face tells her that he isn't in mood to be interrogated, so she just nodded at that, and then she also focused on the next match. Thinking about her own match can actually wait since her fight against Bakugo was placed on the last slot. Well then, let's move on the second match for the first round. Present Mike announced, and then on his left side came Todoroki walking towards the arena. His hair was actually covering his eyes. From Hero Course Class 1A, Todoroki Shoto. The crowd's excitement seemingly came back to them after hearing the name Todoroki, and immediately recognizing him as the son of the number 2 hero, Endeavor, and his opponent, also from Hero Course Class 1A, Shiro Hanta. Then Shiro also proceeded to the arena and faced Todoroki, who had a hardened look on his eyes. Then Midnight took her position and raised the flag. "Are both of you ready?" "Yes." "Yeah." "Well then, begin." And the fight has begun, and Shiro was the first one to make a move, flexing both his arms upward. "Well, it seems that I don't stand a chance against someone like you, but..." Then in a swift motion, Shiro immobilized Todoroki by launching a tape from his left elbow and wrapping it around the boy's body, and then he launched another set of tape, this time from his right elbow, and then he used it to drag Todoroki outside the ring. This action earned collective gasps from the audience and from the other students. "What the dash?" Shiro intended to put Todoroki-san outside the ring using his tape, Momo commented. "Go for it, Shiro," Mineta shouted. Back at the fight, it appears that Shiro was the one who's going to win the second match, as the Fire/Ice Quirk user was being dragged each second have passed. However, Todoroki has other plans. "Sorry about this." Then, to everyone's surprise, Todoroki effortlessly stopped the momentum that was pulling him outside the ring by firmly planting both his feet on the arena, and then from his right feet, he launched a carpet of chilling ice towards Shiro, who didn't react on time to dodge. Death Arms and Kamui Woods were outside the stadium, patrolling the perimeter, when suddenly, a giant tremor occurred, causing the two pro heroes to struggle to maintain their balance. After that tremor, they immediately noticed a wide shadow that was looming over them. "What is this? Shadow?" Then the two decided to turn around, only to see multiple giant ice spikes that was sticking outside the stadium. What the heck is this? Inside the stadium, everyone became silent just like before. Half of the arena was completely covered with ice, and Shiro was completely trapped inside of it save for his head. He's currently shivering from the cold. Todoroki let out an icy breath while glaring at Shiro. He then shattered the frozen tape that was still wrapped on his upper body. Don't you think? This is way too much? Shiro questioned. Shiro-kun? Can you move? Midnight shakily asked him. It seems that she wasn't spared from Todoroki's attack, as some part of her body was covered with ice. "Oh, of course not. It hurts," Shiro answered her. "Shiro-kun was immobilized. Todoroki wins," she announced to them. And just like before, silence covered the whole stadium. Everyone didn't dare to say anything regarding the outcome of the battle. What's with this one-sided fights? They can't admit it out loud, but the first two fights made them think that there were actually powerful brats that exist on this society, and they can't help but to look down on themselves. "Sorry about that. I was just angry," Todoroki said as he approached Shiro and then melted the ice that was covering him using the heat on his left side. Then after he freed Shiro, he went back to the exit, just after he gave his father a look that says, "I'll win this without your power," then he left. "What a rebellious brat," Endeavor muttered as he crossed his arms. Midoriya looked at the arena, which was being checked by Cementos for any damage that needs to be repaired immediately before continuing on the third match. Then he shifted his gaze on the exit where Todoroki walked. He can't help but to wonder about something. He really intended to win this without using his left side, huh? In that case, I'll force him to use his left side, he thought as he watched the upcoming match of the other participants. Chapter 13. First round. The entire crowd tried to cheer themselves up as the third match was about to begin. Well, who wouldn't be overwhelmed after seeing the first two fights ended in just mere seconds? And not only that, it ended one-sided and in the most unexpected ways they didn't dare to think of, and it leaves the crowd jaw-dropped. And not just the crowd, actually, even the students were also in the same state, especially the entire Class 1A. Midoriya and Todoroki. "Those two were monsters," Mineta commented. Everyone can't help but to agree to him. The way they took down their respective opponents make them really nervous, especially on Todoroki's match. They were 99% sure that he was completely enraged when he fought Zero. "You said it, I seriously think that I don't even have a chance against them. I just hope I didn't face either of the two." "At least not too early," Kaminari said, causing Jairu to snicker at him. The lightning user looked at the earphone girl. "What? Did I say something wrong?" "Well, before you think of that, why don't you think about your own match first, which starts right now," she told him. This snapped the lightning quirk user in realization. "Crap, I totally forgot." Then he hastily made his way to the stadium. How could he forgot that it was finally his turn to fight? "Okay, let's move on to the third match of the one-on-one tournament battle," Present Mike announced, and then the next competitors were walking towards the arena. From Hero Course Class 1A, Denki Kaminari. Then the lightning quirk user made his way on the arena first, and then from his position, he saw his opponent, a woman with a long hair that was purely made out of green vines. As she made her way to the arena, Kaminari couldn't help but to lose a bit of confidence from the look she's giving to him. And his opponent, from Hero Course Class 1B, Shiozaki Ibara. Then the woman named Ibara finally arrive at the arena and wait for the match to begin. Midnight then raise her flag. "Are you two ready?" she shouted. Yes. Then, begin. This will only take a second." Kaminari wasted no time as he surrounded himself with yellow electricity. It was starting to intensify and covers a wide area around its user. Meanwhile, Ibara wasn't even unfazed at the display of Kaminari's quirk. And then suddenly, she turned her back to him and faced the crowd behind her. Kaminari was shocked at that. Did she seriously turn her back to him during the fight, especially that he's about to attack her? She might be planning something, so he had to strike now or he'll never have another chance to do so. "Take this." Indiscriminate shock. 1.3 million volts. Kaminari let loose a wave of yellow electricity which contained the set amount of voltage from his body. It was approaching Ibara very fast. However, the only movement she made was to clap her hands as if she's praying. And then, just as the electricity was about to hit her, the vines on her head suddenly move and create a wall made out of it. That alone was more than enough to disperse the electricity. Then, the vines disconnect from her head, and just as quickly as she disconnected, it grew back in mere seconds, and it's already lunging towards Kaminari, who can't move as a side effects of his quirk. Allele WHHH. Kaminari was now being suspended in the air thanks to Ibara's numerous vines. It was wrapped around his entire body and constricting him. Ugh! He held back a groan as the vines tightened around him. And then, without any much of a choice, he surrendered. I give up!" he yelled. The referee, Midnight, nodded at that, and then she declared the winner. Kaminari-kun was immobilized. "Shiozaki-san wins," she announced to them. The crowd roared in excitement. Finally, a proper match that they can enjoy with two contenders actually exchanged blows. "Good job, Ibara," Tetsu yelled. "That was awesome." Kendo followed. "Well, I guess that's as far as he go," Jairu said, sighing in disappointment. And then, few moments later, someone suddenly peeked on the wall that separates the Class 1A and Class 1B. "What the hell is that? Didn't he said that he'll settle it in a second?" All of the Class 1A turned to see a blonde guy with a weird look on his face. It was Monoma. A student beaten by 1B student. Isn't that strange? It was supposed to be the other way around, right? I guess you're just all dash asterisk smack asterisk. Then he stopped talking as his head disappeared downward while his eyes were rolled back. Then, after a few seconds, Kendo peeked at them on his place. "Sorry about that." She apologized to them, and then she disappeared too, leaving the 1A students to wonder what just happened. What was that? Who knows? But man, I never expect him to lose that quick. I wonder if the reason is because his opponent was a girl. Well, at least he did his best out there. Right? Uraraka spoke, and then on cue, Midoriya went back to his seat beside her. He actually went to the toilet before the match, and unfortunately, he missed it, but he isn't necessarily sad about it though. "Oh, Izuka-kun, you're back," she exclaimed. The green-haired boy smiled and nodded. "Yeah, where did you go? Took you long enough to miss Kaminari's fight?" Ida asked. "To the toilet, but on the way back, someone talked to me about something." He answered him while his eyes were focused on Ibara and her hair, on which he deduced that her quirk lies on it. It appears that he's actually studying her. Is that so?" "Yeah." Then they decided to end their conversation and focus on the next match. Midoriya didn't fail to caught glimpse of Bakugo, who was glaring at him ever since he returned to his seat. He sighed. Typical Bakugo. Now, let's move on to the fourth match of the one-on-one tournament battle. present mic announce as the crowd roar in enthusiasm, and then the two competitors appear on each side of the stadium and making their way towards the arena. From Hero Course Class 1A, Ida Tenya. Ida was the first one who reached the arena, and he was equipped with some sort of backpack. And his opponent, from Support Course, Hatsum Mei. Then the pink-haired girl reached the arena as well, fully equipped with support items and gadgets around her body. With the two participants arrive, the match can be start. But then Midnight look at Ida and point on the backpack he's wearing. It's against the rules for those in Hero Course to bring a support equipment unless he or she submit a petition, she explained to him. Ida gasped. I forgot about that. But what about Hyuga's belt? He countered. Aoyama already submit his own petition before she answer him. I'm so sorry. It's just that she actually asked me a favor, and in return, she'll let me use one of her items so that it won't become an unfair battle. Not only that, I can't bring myself to refuse a woman's request. It would be inappropriate. Ida reasoned to Midnight, who smirked as a response. What a gentleman you are. All right, I will allow it, Midnight said as Ida and Mei readied themselves. And with that settles, Midnight raised her flag. Then, begin. Ida was the first to make a move as he fired up his quirk and dashed forward to attack Mei. However, the woman has her own purpose. And then, she smirked and began her counterattack. Later, phew! There's nothing more I can say now, so I'm out, Mei said as she let her left foot step the outside area of the arena. Therefore, losing the battle on the process, everyone was flabbergasted at her action. Hatsum-san is out of bounds. Ida Kuin wins, Midnight announced with uncertainty in her voice as she, too, was shocked at the woman. You tricked me, Ida yelled on top of his lungs after realizing the girl's true intention. Mei just turned her back to him while grinning. Sorry, I just use you, she admitted to him, making Ida glare at her direction. I hate you so much. Well, the reason of his anger was this. It seems that Mei only used the tournament battle in order to present all of the support items she invented herself to the audience, as well as on the support company that was watching above the stadium right now. Then, she asked Ida a favor to wear one of her items only because she can't carry any more on her body. Long story short, Hatsum Mei used the battle and Tenya Ida to promote her items. Period. Let's move on to the fifth match of the one-on-one battle, shall we? Present mic announce, and then after few seconds, two new competitors was slowly making their way to the arena. From Hero Course Class 1A, Ashido Mina. Then Ashido arrived at the arena first with a smile on her face. And now, she was waiting on her opponent. And her opponent, also from Hero Course Class 1A, Aoyama Yuga. Then Laser Guy also arrived at the arena and faced Ashido with a very confident look as if he's already the winner. Then, with both fighters on the arena, Midnight then raised her flag and asked the two, Are you both ready? Yes, mademoiselle. Yeah. Bring it. Then, begin. As Midnight commenced the fight, Yuga was the first one to attack. Using the belt on his belly, he shoot out a blue sparkling beam from it. In an attempt to finish the fight, however, Ashido used the acid generated by her body to slide around the field, effectively dodging Yuga's laser. But it didn't end there. Yuga continued to fire off beams to her direction, and Ashido continued dodging his attacks while attempting to get close to him. At the student's seat, Midoriya was watching the fight along with his classmates. So, who do you think will win, Karo? Tsuyu asked them. It's Yuga for me. His quirk was designed for long-range assaults, so Ashido will have a hard time dodging and trying to get as close to him as possible, Sato commented to them. Yeah, it was obvious, but everyone looked at Midoriya, whose eyes were still glued to the fight. If Ashido-san find the perfect timing and was fast enough, she might have a chance against Yuga's long-range laser attacks, he told them. What do you mean? Uraraka asked him. Yuga's naval laser was an incredible quirk, but looking back at the quirk apprehension test, he told us that he can't fire it for more than 1 second or else he will get a stomachache, right? He explained to them while his eyes not moving away. See, come to think of it, he did mention something like that, Kirishima said as he, too, remember that time and he can't help but to feel sorry for the guy. He just told them the major drawback of his quirk aloud, but at least only few heard it. Oh, you mean Ashido has to find the perfect timing to strike Yuga to win? Is that what you want to say? Yeah. Back at the fight, Yuga was still firing off lasers from his belly and not moving an inch from his current position while Ashido was dodging the attack using the acid to slide around. You won't win against me. Give up already, Yuga told her as he released another laser attack towards her. Not a chance. Besides, I already knew on how to deal with your quirk. she shot back to him as she continued to slide on the arena and try getting close to him. Is that so? Yuga just continue firing off lasers and Ashido just keep dodging them. And as it continues for much longer, Yuga was getting more impatient as seconds passed by, and so, "You're so persistent." Yuga then took the gamble and fire off a continuous laser towards Ashido in hopes that it will be enough to take her down. "But that's what I'm waiting for," Ashido said as she dodged that attack. Her athletic body combined with acid quirk allow her to effectively dodge Yuga's continuous laser. And after 3 seconds, the blonde's stomach was acting up. "Ugh, and my belly." He groaned on pain. "Now!" Then, using that chance, she threw an acid on his belt in order to melt it, rendering his quirk completely useless. Yuga gasped in horror as his main weapon was out of commission. "My belt! This will finish you off." Mina then got close to him and delivered an uppercut on Yuga's chin, knocking him out at the same time. Then Midnight looked at the unconscious Yuga and then at Ashido. "Aoyama-kun was knocked out. Ashido-san wins," she announced. The crowd cheered at another excellent battle that was displayed in front of them. At one aside, they were stunned at the outcome. They actually thought that Yuga will win, but it seems that it was another way around. "It's just as you said," Izuku-kun Uraraka said. Midoriya just nodded. It was now Momo and Tokoyami's turn to fight, however. As clear as the mountain water, Momo was on a complete disadvantage against Tokoyami. The former's quirk was all-purpose, but she needs a lot of time just to create a single weapon, while on the other hand, the latter's quirk was offense and defense in one body, and it needs less time to be executed as well. And so, using Dark Shadow, Tokoyami was pushing Momo very hard. The woman managed to create a quick shield for defense while dodging it, but Dark Shadow's attacks proves to be more powerful. However, "What?" The woman gasped as Tokoyami suddenly stopped attacking her. So she took this chance to create an offensive weapon, a long sword on her left hand. But just as she was about to attack, Midnight yelled something. "Yaoyorozu-san is out of bounds. Tokoyami-kun wins." Momo gasped again as she looked below. It was then that she realized that her right foot was outside the red boundary of the arena. Tokoyami's assaults earlier are meant to put her outside the battlefield all this time. That's. And so, with the 6th match over, she and Tokoyami withdrew from the arena. Ojiro and Midoriya noticed at how depressed Momo was after the battle. "That must be pretty hard for her," Ojiro said. "Yeah. I mean, as a recommended student, the crowd already expect that she'll win that match, but Tokoyami-kun won instead," Midoriya said. "Yeah." The 7th match commenced. Tetsu and Kirishima were now standing on the arena and Midnight raised her flag. "Are you both ready?" "Yeah," both shouted in unison. "Then, begin." "Hiya!" With a battle cry, Tetsu and Kirishima lunged at each other with their fists clenched. Kirishima's skin was hardened using his quirk, while Tetsu's skin became metal. "Here I go." The two students, whose quirks has similar function, landed a fist on each other's cheeks, but thanks to the hardening ability they had right now, Kirishima and Tetsu barely felt anything at all. And so, the two undergo an intense fist fight to see who will win the match. At the student's seat, Midoriya noticed Uraraka's nervousness. Well, he can't blame her since it's finally her turn after Kirishima's fight, and her opponent was Bakugo. "Uraraka-san, are you okay?" he asked her. The brown-haired woman turned to him. "Why yeah, I'm okay, Izuku-kun. Just a little nervous, that's all," she replied to him. "You want some advice?" he asked. Uraraka gasped. Advice? On how you will beat Kaken's quirk," Midoriya said. She was tempted to take the offer. It will greatly help her during the match. But at the same time, she didn't want to rely on the others to win. And with that, she looked at the green-haired boy and smiled. "Sorry, but I want to win this fight on my own. So I decline," she answered. "Is that so? Well, I guess it can't be helped. Just good luck on your fight," Midoriya said. "Yeah." Bakugo, while on the corner, was actually listening to their conversation. And then, seeing that the 7th match was almost over, he quickly stood from his seat and walked away. Now back at the fight, Kirishima and Tetsu's body was showing signs of bruises and injuries. It appears that their quirk was losing its effectiveness over time, and so, they start to take serious damage from their fist fight as seconds pass by. "Hiya!" With one last battle cry, the two balled their fists and deliver one last punch on each other's faces. This caused them to fall on the ground and lose consciousness. Midnight then went near the two fallen warriors. She looked at Kirishima first to see that he's clearly knocked out, and then to Tetsu to see that he was knocked out too. Both fighters were knocked out. It's a draw. The audience cheered at the passionate battle that took place. The two fighters give everything they had, and as a result, the match was a draw. Then Kirishima and Tetsutetsu was being carried by a stretcher, each to Recovery Girl's medical bay to recover their strength and heal their wounds. In case of a draw, after the two fighters recovered, they will settle it through a simple game like arm wrestling to determine the winner, Midnight announced. Here we go. The last match for the first round of one-on-one tournament, Present Mike said, and then on cue, Bakugo and Uraraka arrive on the opposite side of the arena, facing each other. From Hero Course Class 1A, Bakugo Katsuki. Bakugo glare at Uraraka, but the woman didn't waver. And his opponent, also from Hero Course Class 1A, Achiko Uraraka. Then Midnight raise her flag. Are you both ready? Yeah. Then begin. The fight was commenced. Neither fighter was moving from their position until Bakugo spoke. Hey Floaty One, if you want to withdraw, now's your chance, he shouted to her. But the answer he got was, sorry, but no. She then dashed forward in attempt to strike him first. Bakugo snickered, what a plain move. Then die. Bakugo ignite his palms and then he raised it towards Uraraka and a large explosion occurred on the arena. Gah! Uraraka wasn't able to dodge the attack due to the wide area it covers. Smoke from the explosion was covering their line of sight. Bakugo saw a silhouette from the smoke, thinking that it was her. He ignite his palms again and trigger another explosion on that direction. But to his surprise, all he can see was a UA jacket. Got you! Uraraka suddenly appeared behind him with an attempt to touch him so she can make him float. But Bakugo used his quick reflexes to sharply raise his right hand directly on her face without looking at her. What? Don't you ever underestimate me. Then Bakugo set another explosion from that hand. Uraraka gasped as she was blown away for good. She panted lightly at the damage she had taken so far. She was about to make her move, but too slow. Bakugo was already in front of her. And then, using both of his palms, he triggered a continuous explosion towards her. Uraraka was left no choice but to cross her arms in front and withstand the attack. The explosion was so powerful that it causes the debris and rubble from the arena to be blown away. As the fight continues, the audience couldn't help but to feel sorry for the girl, and the pro heroes were actually booing Bakugo for assaulting a girl. What the heck is that? That isn't a heroic act at all. Oh. He was just toying with her. But then, their insults were cut off by Aizawa from the commentator's seat. Shut up, you lot. The pro heroes look at the commentator box with a surprised expression. The reason Katsuki Bakugo was doing that is because he acknowledged Achiko Uraraka's strength, and so he's not letting his guard down even a bit just because she's a girl. If you guys don't know that, you should quit your job as a hero, he told them. This actually shut them up for good. Back at the battle, Bakugo temporarily stopped his assault and looked at the girl, who was already covered with bruises and injuries and her knees was on verge of collapsing. But to his shock, she was smiling to him and her hands were clasped. Thanks for not letting your guard down. Then, as she released her hands, Bakugo noticed a group of tiny shadow on the ground that was getting bigger and bigger. He then looked up to see that the rubble and the debris that was blown away by the explosions earlier was descending towards him very fast. Wadash! At the student's seat, Monoma realized the girl's strategy. It seems that she intentionally lured the guy's eyesight downward so that he wouldn't look above. While the debris and rubble was being blown away, she was using her quirk to make them float, he explained. At 1A's side, Midoriya was stunned at the plan she came up with. It was great but dangerous at the same time. Uraraka-san. Back at the arena, Bakugo looked at the debris that was falling straight to him. Then, to her surprise, he grinned at them. Why are you dash? Uraraka asked, seeing his wicked smile. You think I didn't notice? I already knew that you were planning something right from the start, so this is my response to it, Bakugo told her, and then he raised both his palms and combined his sweat together. He ignited for a moment, and then, after a few seconds, Bakugo released one very huge explosion. It was powerful enough to blow all of the rubble and debris away, and in extension, Uraraka herself. Kya! The girl was blown away and stumbled on the arena. She landed with a loud thud. After the explosion, Bakugo then looked at her form and was surprised to see her getting up. Are you done? He asked her. Pant, pant, pant. Uraraka managed to get up, but with a wobbly legs, she looked at the ash blonde boy and then she smiled again. The real fight start now. But then she finally gave in and collapsed on the ground. Midnight approached her, and then, after confirming that she's unconscious, she announced the winner. Uraraka-san was knocked out. Bakugo-kun wins, she announced to them. The crowd cheered, but not as loud as the other matches. Then, after the battle, Bakugo returned to the stadium while Uraraka was carried by a stretcher. This marked the end of the first round. Chapter 14, Battle of Elements. After their match ended in a draw, and also after being healed by Recovery Girl, Kirishima and Tetsu were back in the arena. A single Japanese-style table made out of cement was in the middle of the two as their right arms were positioned there and were locked at each other, trying to dominate one another in a game of arm wrestling. Hiya! Kirishima yelled as he put more energy on his arm and combined with his hardening quirk. He's starting to overpower Tetsu. Gah! The metal man felt an intense pain as his arm suddenly cracked, causing him to lose his focus, and therefore allowing Kirishima to win the arm wrestling game. Tetsu was down. Kirishima-kun wins. Midnight announced, all the audience cheered to them. Tetsu groaned in disappointment as he clutched his injured arm. Damn it! I should have eaten more metal, he grunted in regret. And then suddenly, a hand appeared in front of him and it belongs to Kirishima. Nice fight, man, he told him. Tetsu let out a small grin, and then he accepted his hand and stood up. This caused Midnight to squeal and the audience to cheer louder to them. KYA. So manly. Present Mike finally announced that the second round was about to begin. So Midoriya stood from his seat and went down to the arena. But before that, he paid a visit on Uraraka first to see if she was doing okay. The girl was now on the waiting room after her injuries were healed by Recovery Girl in order to answer a call, which came from her parents. Mom, Dad, she said between intervals. Midoriya can definitely hear a sobbing sound from her as he peeked on the door. It's okay, Achiko-chan. You did your best out there. For me and you, Dad, you are the winner. Midoriya heard Uraraka's parents told her since her phone was on the loudspeaker mode. Yes, I know that, but still, it was so frustrating, Uraraka said before she silently cried, covering her mouth using her other hand. Oh, don't cry, baby. I'm sure that there's another chance for you, so cheer up. Okay? Why, yes. Then, Midoriya fully opened the door, catching the attention of the girl inside. She looked at him before wiping her eyes off the tears. Izuka-kun, weren't you supposed to be on the arena by now? She asked the green-haired boy. He nodded at that and spoke. I know, but I want to see if you're doing okay after the match, he told her. This caused the girl's face to turn red. Is he actually worried about her? Oh, I'm okay. Don't worry about me. This is nothing, Uraraka said, causing him to frown a little. Oh dear, who are you talking to? Is he your boyfriend? Uraraka blushed as she heard her mom's voice, realizing that her phone was still on. It's just my friend, Mom. He's checking to see if I'm all right. She quickly answered her. Uraraka could swear that she heard her chuckled on the other line after hearing her flustered reply. Is that so? Well then, I'm hanging up. Goodbye, her mom said, and then a beep sound can be heard, indicating that she hung up the phone. Uraraka then turned her phone off and faced Midoriya, who held a serious look towards her. Uraraka-san, you're lying on what you just told me, right? He told her. Uraraka gasped at that, and then Midoriya went closer to her and smiled. It's okay, Uraraka-san. You can let it out on me. That's what friends are for, right? He told her. And at that point, Uraraka can't hold back anymore as she let out her emotions. She instinctively went to him and cried loudly on his chest. Midoriya returned the hug and comforted her in any way he can while lightly ruffling her hair. Wah! They stay like that until she finally calmed down. Midoriya could care less if he's late or what. Ladies and gentlemen, we're now on the second round of 1-1-1 tournament battle. Present Mike announced. The crowd respond by loud cheers and yells of excitement. This will be a very interesting battle as the players on this match was the two students that shows a stunning performance and dominate their match in an instant. Who do you think will win this time? Let's find out, shall we? Then, on the two opposite sides of the stadium, Midoriya and Todoroki were walking slowly towards the arena. The red-white-haired boy's eyes were shadowed by his hair as he approached the arena while Midoriya's expression was neutral as he looked in front of him. The cheers can be heard all around the stadium. From Hero Course Class 1A, Midoriya Izuku. Then, Midoriya reached the arena first. The crowd cheered for him. And his opponent, also from Hero Course Class 1A, Todoroki Shoto. Todoroki also reached the arena and looked at his opponent with a hardened gaze. Everyone could feel the tension between the two fighters, especially the Class 1A. What tension? It's like they're here to kill each other, Jairu said. Yeah, those two were gonna fight now, huh? One that controls 2 elements and one that controls 4 elements. This will be an intense battle, Ida told them. But Todoroki-kun never used his left side before, right? So he will have a hard time dealing with Izuku-kun, Uraraka said. She decided to watch the fight after she finally calmed down thanks to the latter. Her face became slightly red whenever she remembered the fact that they actually hugged in the waiting room. Yeah, let's just see what will happen. At the teacher's seat, All Might muscle form. Look at the 2 below and couldn't help but to feel the tension as well. It was normal. After all, those 2 were few students whose powers revolve on either producing or manipulating elements, and this fight will determine who will be the superior. Midoriya Izuku and Todoroki Shoto. I heard those 2 were the top students on Class 1, a pro-hero Snipe told his comrades. They all nodded in agreement. Yeah, that's right, Todoroki Shoto was one of the recommended students, courtesy of his father, Endeavor, so his ability was top-notch, but Midoriya Izuku was the top student on the entrance exam overall, and also, I heard that he's the one who actually take down the 0-pointer in order to save a fellow examinee, Ectoplasm said. Their quirks was really something, especially on Midoriya's case. I never heard a quirk that was capable of controlling 4 elements, 13 said. Anyway, let's just watch the battle to see what kind of entertainment they're going to show us. On the sidelines, Enji Todoroki, or better known as the number 2 hero Endeavor, watch his son facing Midoriya. If his hunch was correct, Shoto will have the disadvantage on this fight because he's only using his right side, but that Midoriya boy was capable of using 4 as he observed from him since the start of the festival, and so his son will be forced to use his left side whether he like it or not, and it's the exact moment he was waiting for to happen. Just use your left side already, Shoto. It will be a quick victory for you, he muttered silently so no one can hear him. Midoriya was eyeing Todoroki and can't help but to recall the words that man told him recently. Flashback, Midoriya was just finished using the toilet, and now he's on the way back to his seat to watch the fight between Kaminari and Ibara when suddenly, Enji appeared on the side accidentally and bumped to him. Ah, I'm sorry, mister. I didn't dash. Midoriya stopped talking as he realized the man in front of him. Enji spoke in deep voice as he looked at the green-haired boy. Midoriya Izuku, right? He continued. The mentioned boy slowly nodded to him. The power you have was something really surprised me. I never thought that someone was capable or controlling 4 elements. It's more than my own son, and it really makes your fight with him more interesting, don't you think? Enji told him. Midoriya tried not to shrink or quiver at the man's intimidating presence. His flaming beard and mustache was dancing around his face. It was. He simply replied to him, then Enji walked away, getting past the green-haired boy. But before he can get any further, Midoriya faced his back and spoke. Why? He said, loud enough for Enji to stop on his tracks and look back at Midoriya. Why do you keep pushing Todoroki-kun on something that he didn't want, Mr. Endeavor? I don't mean to intrude in your personal conflict, but as I can see after his fight against Zero, he was looking at you filled with hate, he asked him. He isn't expecting any answer from the man, but to his surprise, he spoke. Why, you ask? He started, then, out of the blue, he grinned menacingly to him, causing Midoriya to shudder. That's because one day, that boy will be the one who will surpass All Might and become the number 1 hero. That's why. Enji answered him. Then, seeing that Midoriya just stood there and not responding, Enji turned around and walked away, leaving the boy all alone on his thoughts. End flashback. Midoriya then focused on the opponent before him after remembering that event, and then he also looked at his father, Enji, who was on the sidelines with his arms crossed and watching the fight with a stern look. Then after a few seconds, Midnight stood in between and raised her flag. Are you both ready? She asked them. Yes. Then, begin. Wasting no moment, Todoroki was the first one to attack, setting his right foot in front of him and unleashing a torrent of ice towards Midoriya, who retracted his right fist and raised his left hand in front. Then, as the wall of ice was about to hit him, he thrust his right fist and a blazing flame was lit from it. The fire was strong and hot enough to completely melt the ice and push itself all the way to Todoroki's position. One advantage of his firebending is, it actually has a solar affinity, meaning that it's stronger during day and it's in full power at noon, and luckily it's almost noon, so Midoriya's fire was stronger and hotter in these times. Todoroki was left no choice but to move from his position before the fire burned him. However, another surprise came to him as the water produced by the melted ice earlier was now hovering in the air. And then, whoosh, the water droplets went on Midoriya's both arms and formed a tentacle-like whips. The green-haired boy used it as his weapon, whipping it on the arena as a test run, which shown that it already has enough force to crack the surface of the arena upon impact. Then, using the whips, he tried hitting Todoroki in an attempt to send him outside the arena and finish the fight quick, but the boy's athletic and trained body combined by his ice allows him to dodge Midoriya's whips. However, while the latter was whipping him, his legs were already moving on the ground as if he's dancing around, and then the debris on the arena float and hurl itself towards the dual quirk user. Damn it! Todoroki realized that he was in complete defense, being forced to put more effort on dodging the water whips and the cement debris that was flying to him. And then, in order to buy time for himself, he created a wall of ice between them in order to temporarily shield his action from Midoriya's sight. In that short amount of time, the crowd was already roaring in awe and excitement. What a display of power from Midoriya! He's already pushing Todoroki on the edge at the beginning of the battle. Present Mike shouted at the commentator box. What power! Using water and earth at the same time. Midoriya really was strong, Kirishima said. Some of his classmates nodded in agreement. Yeah, Todoroki will have a hard time with him. His ice will be countered so easily and become water if melted, on which Midoriya can use against him, Tokoyami told them. Yeah, Bakugo was watching them from his seat and can't help but to grit his teeth. Those moves. He was being reminded on what happened between him and Midoriya a long time ago, but he shrugged it off for now and focused on the fight. Back at the arena, Midoriya decided to wait on Todoroki and whatever he's planning to do, and then, after a few seconds, the green-haired boy felt a sudden chill. Then, the surface of the arena was starting to freeze and closing in towards him. So Midoriya used earth bending on his foot one last moment to propel himself upward. And then, what he saw was, as I thought, he can see that the entire arena was now covered with Todoroki's ice, and so, the user can freely slide around. With this, you can no longer use the arena against me through that earth quirk or yours, Todoroki said, but the green-haired boy wasn't unfazed at that. He still has 3 elements to use. Is that so? Then, as Midoriya was about to land, he spun his body in the air horizontally, and then an air construct ball appeared on the place where he will land, and then he rode on it in an Indian-style sit and the airball he's riding move around along with him. What? Todoroki gasped, seeing Midoriya was riding an airball and moving around very fast. But he can see that he's still adjusting himself on Midoriya's POV. He cursed a bit as he was almost thrown away, but he managed to correct his position before that happened. Damn it. Even though I've practiced this move many times, it's still very hard to get used to this. He thought before clenching his hands, and then, he thrust one of it towards Todoroki and a blazing flame was fired, releasing a stream of fire. Todoroki was also sliding around to dodge his flames, and now the match became a game of chase with Midoriya riding an airball and Todoroki sliding around. No one has an intention to back down until Midoriya decided to stop playing around and became serious on the match. Todoroki gasped a bit. The airball disappeared after the green-haired boy jumped, and then, clenching both of his fists, Midoriya thrust it downward. A blazing flame was on his left fist while on his right fist was a stream of air. The air greatly amplifies his flame's firepower, great enough to melt the entire ice that was enveloping the arena. What? Todoroki managed to create an ice wall just in time to protect himself from the indirect attack, but unfortunately, even the ice that protected him was melted shortly at the intense heat of Midoriya's wind-enhanced flames. This guy! After that, the green-haired boy landed on the arena. His both palms were displaying a combination of fire and wind each. Then Midoriya looked at him. Sorry, Todoroki-kun, but I think it's time to end this, he told him, and just after those words left his mouth, he thrust both his palms and a blazing stream of fused wind and fire erupted. And as a result, a gigantic blast of hot flame was fired on Todoroki's direction. Damn! Todoroki created another wall of ice, but it was completely useless as Midoriya's fused element attack effortlessly tore through it and engulfed the dual quirk user, who was hanging on and preventing himself from being thrown outside. What a fight! And it looks like Todoroki took the first hit from Midoriya's attack. Will he manage to survive, or he'll be blasted out of the arena for good? Present Mike shouted. The crowd watched in amazement as the gigantic stream of flames keep being fired on the white-red-haired boy's direction. Todoroki felt that his skin was slowly being melted despite keeping himself from being burned by continuously coating himself with ice. However, it wasn't enough since he can still feel the heat, and slowly, he was being pushed back thanks to the wind. Grr! Todoroki was losing the match, he knew it, but that doesn't mean that he'll just let Midoriya win this fight so easily. Not if he's able to give everything he had first. And not yet. To there's no way. I'll be losing to you, he muttered while struggling to block the flames. In that case, come at me with your full strength. Todoroki's eyes widen. Did Midoriya heard him mutter? You were losing because of that selfish reason. You were holding back all of this time because your father was pressuring you and you're rebelling against him by not using your left side. I understand that part, but Midoriya looked at him with eyes filled with determination. No matter how much struggles we had gone through in our life, we're always pushing past them and go beyond our limits. That's what it means to be a hero, he shouted to him. Todoroki gasped as he suddenly remembered his mother's words when he was a kid. You want to become a hero, right? I'm sure you will. Mom, it doesn't matter who you are and where you came from. A hero always give everything he had in order to save lives. And I believe one of these days, you will become one of them. Then out of a blue, a sudden explosion of a foreign flames blown and cancelled Midoriya's fire and wind combination. And then, after a few seconds, everyone was shocked to see Todoroki's left side of his body was ablaze with his own bright orange flame. The heat radiating from it was so powerful that the audience on the stadium can actually feel it. That's right. I want to be a hero. He muttered to himself as the fire kept burning on the left side of his body. At the teacher's side, the occupants was shocked at the sudden burst of another fire, and at the same time, they were interested at the progress of the battle. All might look at Todoroki and then to Midoriya before he let out a grin. That young Midoriya, he actually helped his opponent to overcome his problem, he thought as he continued watched the fight. At the sidelines, Enji was more than happy and overjoyed, seeing the flame erupt from his son's body. He was so happy to the point that he started yelling praises towards Todoroki. That's it. That's the way, Shoto. Show him who's superior. He started yelling. He didn't care if he catches the attention of the people around him. All it matters to him was that his son finally accept who he is and use his power to grasp victory. At the students' side, everyone was stunned at the development, especially the Class 1A. This is... Yikes! It looks like Todoroki finally snapped and used his left side. This will be interesting, Kirishima said. So that's Todoroki's fire. What heat! I can actually feel it even from here, Jairu said. At the arena, Todoroki and Midoriya was facing each other. But this time, both contenders were ready to go all out. Todoroki looked at the grinning Midoriya before he narrowed his eyes at that. You lost your chance of defeating me, Midoriya. Now prepare yourself, he told him. Let's see about that. Then, in a blink of an eye, the flames on Todoroki's left side suddenly thrust itself forward to attack Midoriya, who gasped a bit at the surprise move. He motioned his hands in order to bend his flames, but to his surprise, he can't bend it at all. I can't manipulate his fire. What's going on? He thought at first. But then, after looking at the flames, which was still connected to Todoroki's body, he slowly nodded to himself. I see, that must be it. My firebending can only control wildfires. Those flames was still connected to Todoroki, so I can't control it at all. That should explains everything, Midoriya thought as he was forced to take the hit, sending him flying. I won't lose. Midoriya then motioned his left fist upward, and then, What the hell? Todoroki suddenly felt something hit his gut. He gasped in shock to see a cement block emerged directly in front of him and hit his chest very hard, sending him flying as well. The two fighters were on the air and was being threatened to be sent outside the arena if they don't do something, and so, Midoriya motioned his right fist this time and a wall of cement emerged behind him. Then, he spun his body and adjusted himself so that he can land on the wall by his feet, thus preventing himself from going outside the boundary. Todoroki, on the other hand, spun his body and swung his right arm. A chilling force was released and created a wall of ice. Then, just like Midoriya, he used it as a stepping stone in order to prevent himself from going outside as well. Midoriya, the dual quirk user, then jumped from the ice he's stepping on, causing it to be shattered into pieces at the force of his jump. Todoroki, the green-haired boy, do the same thing on the wall he's stepping on, shattering it as well, and now both fighters were approaching each other in a blinding speed. Todoroki ignite his left arm with his flames while Midoriya manipulate the wind and have it coat his right arm before clenching his hand into a fist. This is bad. Midnight, Cementos shouted as he used his quirk to put layers of cement between the two. These two were seriously trying to hurt each other. Midnight then tore the sleeve of her hero costume and released a pink gas from it. Todoroki and Midoriya were a couple of seconds away before colliding at each other, and then The dual quirk use let out a faint smile. "Thank you," Todoroki whispered, and then he let out a blast of intense fire from his hand. And at the same time, Midoriya thrust his right fist and a powerful gale was released on it. The sudden collision of two elements causes a large explosion, render Cementos layers of cement and Midnight's pink gas useless as it was blown away along with some cement debris from the arena. What? Midnight herself was also blown away from her post at the sheer force of the explosion. Smoke was covering the entire arena, so the audience has no clue who win and who lose. The teachers was also wondering too, and so are the students. "This is insane. You're kidding me. Those two were really monsters," Mineta shouted.
Zeus minus Lud.
Uraraka said, slightly worried at her friend. At the arena, the smoke was beginning to clear slowly until they can see some silhouettes on it. This is. Then, the smoke was completely cleared to reveal the aftermath of the battle. And based on it, the winner has finally decided. Todoroki was knocked out. Midoriya wins. Present Mike announced in place of Midnight, who was nowhere to be seen. Chapter 15, to the finals. The entire crowd roared in excitement as the battle reached its end. Midoriya was standing on the stage looking at Todoroki, who was on the ground. Then, out of the blue, the green-haired boy went to him and offered a hand. "That was a great match. Let's do it again sometime," he said before smiling. Todoroki looked at his hand and then he decided to take it. Midoriya pulled him up and the dual quirk user stood up. There's no reason for him to hate Midoriya. He won the match fair and square and he gave everything he had. The same goes for him, and for some reason, he was actually happy at that despite losing the fight. "Yeah. This is what I called a friendly match," Present Mike announced, delighted at the sight. At the Class 1A, everyone was shocked at the results but smiled. The fight was so intense. After all, it was element versus element and Midoriya emerged victorious. "That was awesome," Kirishima shouted. "Yeah, of course, those two gave their all." Tokoyami followed suit. As expected of Dekukuin, his quirk was really something, Uraraka said. Bakugo looked at the retreating form of Midoriya and Todoroki before closing his eyes and then focused his mind elsewhere. Todoroki was now retreating from the stage, walking on the dark hallway until he encountered Enji, his father. He had a scowl plastered on his face. "How dare you lose to him?" he scolded. "It doesn't matter if he's now able to harness his flame power. He still lost, and that was something he can't tolerate." Todoroki just stared at him and then he walked past him. Of course, Enji wasn't pleased at his action. "I'm still talking to you," he yelled. "Midoriya won and I lost. There's nothing I can do about it. You can scold me all you want. It won't change the outcome of the battle," Todoroki simply replied as he kept walking until was gone. Enji grit his teeth and left the hallway. Midoriya was now back on his seat beside Uraraka. Everyone greeted and congratulated him for his victory. "That was splendid, Midoriya. You actually beat Todoroki," the top student on our class, Kirishima, said happily. Midoriya simply nodded before taking his seat. "Yeah," he simply told them before looking on the stage and wait for the next match to begin. They grew worried at him since Midoriya wasn't actually happy at his victory against Todoroki. "Is there something wrong?" Uraraka asked, seeing Midoriya's solemn look. "It's nothing. Anyway, let's watch the rest of the fight. Ida's match was next, right?" he said before the two can even ask question. Uraraka and Kirishima nodded, and then they shift their attention on the next match. Ida versus Shiozaki. Recipro burst. Ida ran in full speed, his quirk ignite with a bluish burst of flame. Ibra used her vines in attempt to restrain him, but it was useless since Ida was too fast. Avoiding a couple of them, he quickly went to her back, grabbing her shoulders, and he dragged her outside the ring. "Kya!" Ibra screamed as she could do nothing at Ida's counterattack. And then after a few seconds, she was now outside the ring and Ida let her go. Shiozaki-san was out of bounds.
Ida-kun wins.
Midnight announced. The crowd roared in excitement. Tokoyami versus Ashido. Dark Shadow. Tokoyami yelled and his trusty dark entity flew towards the pink-skinned girl. Ashido attempted to stop him by throwing acid blob, but Dark Shadow was too fast and none of it hit the entity. And then Dark Shadow lunged at her before she can threw another acid blob. He swiped his arm to her. Ashido successfully blocked it, but the force of Dark Shadow's punch sent her skidding backwards and near outside the ring. "Oh no!" Ashido tried to regain balance but failed as her feet gave in and she collapsed outside on her, but Ashido was out of bounds. Tokoyami-kun wins. "Wow, he actually won in an instant," Mineta said. The guy was actually rooting for Ashido to win the fight. Tokoyami's Dark Shadow was amazing, Tsuyu commented. Of course, it was actually a combination of offense and defense, just like Present Mike said. Dark Shadow can defend while closing in to his enemies. Midoriya told them, agreeing to the frog girl. I see, but there's one major weakness Dark Shadow possesses that Tokoyami-kun must be very careful of. He continued, this make the two look at him. Weakness, yeah. He must knew it, and that was probably one of the reason he was trying to finish the fight quick using Dark Shadow. Midoriya continued. What is that weakness? I must tell Ishido next time they fight. Mineta asked. That was something I shouldn't be casually telling you guys. It's up to Tokoyami? I'm sorry, he said. What are you saying? It's fine, really? Tsuyu then smacked Mineta for that question. Ow! Player 1 waiting room. Ida was on the phone. He's currently trying to contact his brother and tell him his advancement on the festival. Unfortunately, he can only hear the automated voice of his brother telling him that he was on a mission. Without much of a choice, he turned off his phone. Nii-san must be very busy by now. He told himself as he kept the phone, and then he readied to his match and whoever he will be facing against. Ingenium was currently running on the road in pursuit of a villain. Then he put up his radio and contact his comrades. Squad A, go to north. Squad B, check the west side. Squad A, roger. Squad B, roger. Ingenium ceased the communication and then keep running until he passed on the alleyway with a shadow looming on it. His eyes managed to caught that, so he went back and using his quirk engine, a quirk similar to Ida but located on both his arms instead, jumping from obstacles to obstacles, he went on the alleyway very fast until he came face to face on the shadow. I finally found you, he yelled as he prepared to fight. The shadow turned to him with a menacing and glowing red eyes. Hero killer. Back at the stadium, it was now Bakugo and Kirishima's match. H-A-A. Hooray! Kirishima threw a punch. His entire body was reinforced with his hardening quirk to deal massive damage. Bakugo dodged. Yet it managed to graze his cheek a little, then raising his palm, the ash-blonde boy ignited with tiny explosions and then tried to hit the red-haired boy using it. It hit Kirishima successfully, but, ha! That won't work on me, explosion boy! He yelled as he emerged from the smoke, completely unharmed but not his clothes unfortunately. Bakugo skid backward due to the impact of his own quirk. He looked at Kirishima and analyzed him. There must be something more on that hardening. He thought as he saw the red-haired boy dash and attempt to punch him. Of course, he avoided those series of punches, but he used this opportunity to figure something out in close proximity. Go, Kirishima. Aim at his chin. His chin. Tetsu roared from his seat. Yesterday's enemy was tomorrow's friend. Ha! Bakugo was on defense. That was the first time I saw it, Uraraka said. No! She looked at Midoriya curiously. Kachin was just observing Kirishima-kun and how his quirk works. I'm sure he'll counterattack if he figures something out, he told her. I see. Whoa! Bakugo started his counterattack. He's now turning the tables around. Uraraka quickly turned to see Bakugo was now the one who's attacking and Kirishima was trying to endure it. Just like Midoriya said. Ugh! The red-haired boy grunt at the last explosion Bakugo released. He grit his teeth as he definitely felt that last attack. Damn it, his quirk was starting to reach its limit. Ha! So you've been straining yourself to keep your body hardened, right? Bakugo asked. Kirishima glared at him. NGH, sooner or later it will fall apart the more you attack in that state. D-damn, D-E. Then Bakugo start raining Kirishima with continuous explosions, covering the red-haired boy with the combination of flames and smoke. Hooray! Bakugo keep his assault for so long, Kirishima was trying his best to endure it. But unfortunately, his quirk finally reached its limit and then, no! Kirishima took major damage on the last wave of Bakugo's explosion. Then the ash-blonde boy stopped his assault and looked at Kirishima, who's battered and bruised badly. Then eventually, he finally succumbed on his injuries and fell on the floor. Kirishima-kun was knocked out. Bakugo wins. Damn it! How could you lose to him? Tetsu cried. Everyone on his class sweat dropped. With this, we complete our final four. Present Mike announced. On the board shows the picture of Midoriya, Ida, Tokoyami, and Bakugo. I guess it's my turn now. Then Midoriya stood up and left his seat and went to the stage. Okay folks, this two battles will determine the contenders for our much-awaited finals of the tournament battle. Present Mike announced. Then on each side of the stadium, Midoriya and Ida was approaching the stage on both opposite sides. Everyone was roaring in excitement. Todoroki was on the sidelines far from the 1A's seat. This will be an exciting match as two of the contenders were from both the same class and course. TCH. In the end, This festival became 1A's paradise. Monoma Spat clearly wasn't pleased at how the festival goes. At this point, 1A will be looting for all the fame by now. From Hero Course, Midoriya Izuku, the green-haired boy, reached the stadium first. Almost all of the audience were betting for him to win all the way to the finals. Also from Hero Course, Ida Tenya, the engine quirk user, also reached the stage. He looked at Midoriya and analyzed him. There's no doubt about it. I'm clearly at disadvantage. Midoriya and his 4-element quirk will be a lot of trouble for me if I face him head-on, he thought. Both fighters were now ready. Midnight then raised the flag. Are you both ready? Yes, yes. Then begin. And the match has started. Wasting no moment, Ida quickly ignited his quirk and ran sideways in attempt to confuse Midoriya. He's now circling around the stage. Whoa! Ida was trying to get out of Midoriya's sight using the speed of his quirk. Let's see how can he use this aspect to defeat our 4-element user. Present Mike questioned. He too was excited at what will happen. Midoriya, on the other hand, was trying to follow his opponent's movements, but unfortunately he's getting faster and faster each second. He knew it has limits, but at the speed Ida was going, it's only a matter of time before he find an opening and drag him outside the ring. That's right. If you can't see your enemy, rely on your senses instead. Then, to everyone's surprise, Midoriya gave up following Ida's movements and simply closed his eyes. Ha! Midoriya was closing his eyes at the time like this? He must be planning something, but what? Let's find out. As Ida was circling around, Midoriya can sense the vibrations his feet was making thanks to earthbending. He realized that this type of bending isn't just hurling boulders and earth towards his target. By further grasping the art, he can also use the element itself to sense all the movements that was making contact on the ground, and it was very handy at the time like this. He focus on it and wait for the right time to catch Ida off guard. At the teacher's seat, All Might grin. He knew exactly what his young Midoriya was trying to do. He was sensing every tiny movements from young Ida. Since he can't see him, he must rely on his other senses to do so. But to be able to do that at young age. Young Midoriya, you're better than I thought, and his hands touched the place where his former injuries were located. That healing ability of his, I still don't get at how he do it. Was that part of his quirk too? Back at the battle, after some time, Ida think that he's ready. Okay, I have built up enough momentum for this. Then Ida changed direction, and it was now heading straight to Midoriya like a bullet fired from a gun. Here it comes. Ida made the first move. And Midoriya, he was still pretty much the same, no movements. It's my win. Ida was about to grab his shirt when FWIP. Midoriya suddenly ducked and avoided Ida's hand. Wah dash, thwack. Then a hand suddenly grabbed Ida's arm and threw him on the same direction he was going. Midoriya then threw a roundhouse kick and unleashed a stream of pressurized wind. It pushed Ida even further until he reached the wall outside the stage with a loud thud. Gah! Then he fell on the grass part of the stadium. Everyone was surprised. What the heck just happened now? Midnight quickly raised Midoriya's flag and announced him as the winner. Ida-kun was out of bounds. Midoriya wins. Nevertheless, everyone cheered at him, though they didn't see much of an action from him like his match with Todoroki. Then after that, Midoriya went to Ida to check if he's alright. Ida-kun, are you okay? The engine quirk user stood up and looked at Midoriya. Why yeah. No worries. For a second I thought I had you. But he looked on the ground. Well, I dash. No need to explain, you were an incredible fighter, Midoriya-kun. I'm glad that I lose to my best friend. Ida cut him off. Midoriya grew orbs, but he smiled after. I see. Good luck on the finals, Ida said. Yeah. At the same dark alleyway, a horrific sight was laid. Ingenium was on the ground on his own pool of blood, heavily injured.
Fame money.
The same shadow loomed over the unconscious form of Ingenium and went near his phone. And you have guts to call yourselves heroes. Then he crushed the phone with a stomp. You bastards are nothing but fakes. The only true hero here is him. His eyes glow red and glared daggers at Ingenium's form. All Might. Match 2 of the semifinals. Bakugo versus Tokoyami. Bakugo's merciless attacks were non-stop. Present Mike excitedly yelled as the crowd was cheering at the next battle after Midoriya and Ida. That thing was annoying. Bakugo yelled as he prepared another set of explosives on both his palms. Dark Shadow, Tokoyami yelled. Aye! His trusted entity lunged at the ash-blonde boy. His arms were ready to strike his master's opponent. but Bakugo used his explosive quirk to propel himself backward just before his claws hit him. Hora! Bakugo positioned his hands backward and then igniting it with his quirk, propelling himself forward this time. TCH, get ready, Dark Shadow, Tokoyami warned, seeing Bakugo being propelled to him by his explosion quirk. Just as Tokoyami said, Dark Shadow went in front of his master and readied himself for any attacks Bakugo was going to unleash. Bakugo stopped just in front of Dark Shadow and unleashed barrage of explosive attacks. And for some reason, Dark Shadow isn't as aggressive like before. In fact, he's in complete defense on each hit. Right now it isn't dealing much damage, but there's something that was weakening Tokoyami's quirk. What is Tokoyami doing? He isn't fighting like he did with me before. What's wrong with him? Ishido also noticed the strange behavior Dark Shadow was inhibiting in front of Bakugo's attacks. Light, Ishido turned to Midoriya. The light from Bakugo's explosions is weakening Dark Shadow's powers. He continued, he can't help but to tell them the reason on why Dark Shadow was on complete defense. It's a bad matchup for Tokoyami. It's the worst battle ever, Uraraka agreed. That was, back at the battle, Tokoyami took the chance of Bakugo's ceasefire and quickly ordered Dark Shadow to attack him. Now, Dark Shadow lunged again towards the explosive user. But, boom, Bakugo used the impact of his explosive to propel himself in the air, avoiding Dark Shadow's claws. Then he detonate another set of explosives from his palms, one towards Dark Shadow's face. Now, Dark Shadow, get him, Tokoyami yelled, knowing that Dark Shadow can still endure it. One of his claws moved swiftly to Bakugo for the finishing move, but, boom, the ash blonde boy quickly react and detonate explosive on his right palm, propelling him away and out of its claw's range. Dash! Then detonating another one, Bakugo quickly get behind Tokoyami. Then after landing on the ground, he held both his palms and gather as many tiny explosive orbs as he could. Damn it! Dark Shadow quickly changed direction and lunged at Bakugo again. Stun Grenade! Using one of his moves, Bakugo detonate the accumulated explosive orbs in one gigantic blast that covers the entire stage, blinding the vision of the audience with intense light coming from it. What explosive power! Now we can't see anything thanks to the smoke, Present Mike announced as they all wait for the smoke to subside. After few seconds of waiting, the smoke finally disappeared and what they saw was, I've already figured out your weakness during the course of the fight. Too bad for you. Bakugo was now on top of Tokoyami. He held the collar of his shirt with his left hand and his right hand was generating light using his quirk. Dark Shadow completely lose power thanks to the light and was reduced into submissive entity. NGH. Tokoyami can't do anything on this situation with Dark Shadow suppressed. He can no longer fight back. I give up. Midnight raised Bakugo's flag. Tokoyami-kun has given up. Bakugo wins. And this concludes the semi-finals of the tournament battle. And now we go to the event everyone was waiting for. The finals. Everyone roared in excitement at that announcement. Looks like you're going to fight your childhood friend, Deku-kun, Uraraka said before she turned. But to her surprise, Midoriya was no longer beside her. Deku-kun? Midoriya was currently on the waiting room. He left moments before the fight ended. He's now mentally preparing himself as he's going to fight Bakugo, his childhood friend, and he knew winning won't be easy. There you are, Deku. Midoriya turned to the door to see Bakugo. His face isn't showing a scowl, but rather he's showing an expression that says, I'm better than you on his face. Kakin, this time we'll settle our rivalry here. The rivalry we have ever since we got our quirks. He told him plainly but with a hint of anger. Midoriya watches Bakugo exit the room. The green-haired boy sighed at that, so he still can't accept that there's someone better than him. I know! After an hour of break, everyone was now on the stadium again. The entire Class 1A, including Todoroki, was on their seat, as well as the other class on Hero Course. Most of the students were excited and some weren't, particularly Monoma. Damn this is just so frustrating. Why the hell those one had to hog all the fame, he asked no one. Come on, don't be like that, Monoma. They worked hard to reach all the way here. I know it sounds unfair, but this is just how things work, Kendo said. You're not helping, I know. Beside this festival wasn't the only way to be scouted by hero agencies. There are other ways too, so don't be so disappointed and let's just enjoy the fight, she said with a smile. All right, folks, are you ready for some intense action? Present Mike yelled. Everyone roared as a yes. Of course. Who wouldn't? After all, we're at the last battle for the UA Sports Festival. Yeah, these two students show magnificent skills on using their quirks, but only one will be declared the winner. He continued. Then on cue, Midoriya and Bakugo was slowly approaching the arena with expressionless faces. Everyone yelled in enthusiasm after seeing the two best students was about to compete before their eyes. From Hero Course, Midoriya Izuku, the green-haired boy, reached the arena and wait for his opponent to arrive as well. Everyone's cheers for the boy can be heard around. It was so loud that even in open space it was so loud. And his opponent, also from Hero Course, Bakugo Katsuki. Bakugo arrive at the opposite side of the arena. He stop and look at Deku with a determined look on his face, which was new to everyone, especially 1A. Hey, is it just me? Or Bakugo was surprisingly calm today, Kirishima asked, verifying that he isn't just seeing things all by himself. I know, right? Well, those two were childhood friends. There must be something happened between the two for them to act like that, Tokoyami said. His hand was bandaged. He's still recovering from the last battle. Are you both ready? Midnight asked the two contenders. Yes, bring it. As Midnight was about to commence the fight, every students, teachers, and other staff of UA was watching in suspense. Midoriya and Bakugo took their fighting stances, ready to attack each other and claim victory. Well then, begin. And with that, the finals has started. Thanks for watching, Legends. What did you think of this wild Avatar twist? Let me know in the comments. Your feedback is the real MVP. Another huge thanks to Destiny Armor for their creativity and to you all for your constant support. If you enjoyed, don't forget to hit that like button and share this with your fellow anime fans. Subscribe and ring that bell so you're ready for the next part of this incredible story. Stay awesome, Legends. I'll catch you in the next one.